What's going on, fellow A-plusers? It's your boy Adam Perez back once again with a brand new video for you guys today. As we're going to go ahead and get into our newest episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys tonight here on a Sunday evening. Sorry about the late start for you guys, but thank you very much for everybody who is certainly joining us today. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly coming through. As we're going to be getting down into this week's topics, we got some DC stuff to definitely dive into as the DCU continues to shift. Some earth-shattering revelations here this week that we're going to be getting into. Is Black Adam a flop at the box office? That's definitely one question we're going to be asking. Then we'll go ahead and dive into some other content for you guys. It seems as though we might be having a Rush Hour sequel certainly headed our way. Looking forward to more Avatar films for you guys. And it looks like Ghostbusters Afterlife might have gotten themselves a brand new director. So we'll go ahead and talk about all that with you guys today. But it's not just myself. Oh no, we've got good old Stuart Branscombe certainly in the house, certainly coming through today. What's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Hey man, I'm doing really good. First time being on Hero Report and not feeling tired in a while.
Tell me about it. See, while you're not feeling tired, I'm exhausted mentally right now, bro. Like, it was very much a last minute kind of while the stream was up and ready to go. 7:30 hit and I'm like, oh shit, I got a show to do in 30 minutes. And considering just how much lag time there is currently on my laptop, it's been a mess, guys. It's been a mess just to go ahead and get the show started for you guys. So I apologize about the delay. I'll try and be in as great of spirits as I possibly can, unless I happen to throw my laptop across the room sometime at some point today. So we'll see how it turns out, man.
We will. Hey, if that happens, we got a really cool new title for the video, I guess. And we could totally just make that a highlight video. Just have it be "Watch Adam flip out," and that'll probably ramp up the viewership.
Yeah, we'll put this on our quick little shorts, little reels on Instagram. Just me just chucking my laptop over and over again against the wall. Yeah, that sounds perfect, bro. Sounds perfect. Let's see who's in the live chat with us today. I'm really gonna try and keep my cool here, man. The girlfriend's out here making me a cup of coffee. I don't know if she dropped it off yet or not, but I definitely am going to need some energy for today's show. So let's see what we got. We got Enrique Perez certainly coming through. We got Dino Knight certainly in the house with us today. Good old Jackson Peterson is here. Carter Matthews, John Schuyler, Kurt Marino, Blossom is in the house. The most talented man in the world is here today. Good old Jericho's joining us. We got Michael in the house along with Carlo Bernardo, because it's definitely 5 o'clock somewhere at this point in time. Good old Jack Daniels is here. Roberto is here with us today. Our fellow Stuart has joined us. We got Morgan in the house along with Alexander as well. We also got Michael. What's up, Michael? Another Michael in the house. Or is it Michael? I kind of like the way you spell your name there. Good old Kenny certainly coming through. And then we got George in the house with us today. Power Rangers Legacy is here. Christopher Throbin making his way into our live chat today. Adam Perea, my other twin, is certainly here. Good old Lawrence. He says it's actually been a while since he's been here. Well, we certainly welcome you back into the fold as always, Lawrence. You're always welcome here, man. Good old Datilla is in the house. We got Ram Jam in here also. Double C. What's up, Double C? Along with Frankie. There's like 30 names, Stuart, that I just read off, and yet we've got 6 live viewers. What is going on here, guys?
Everyone just wanted to come say hi and then be like, "Well, hey, got my cameo. See ya."
Yeah, man, so selfish. You guys are so selfish like that, but that's all good. Listen, if you guys come through, if you drop a comment, please drop a like. Hit that like button. It literally takes 1 second. You know what I'm saying, Stuart?
Hit that like button, man, and then same with the subscribe button, so it takes maybe a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds, but that's not too much of your day.
It literally will take you longer to type something into the chat than it will to hit that like button. So hit the like button and then drop your name if you want. Go ahead and get into that chat, guys. Trust me, because at this point, so we should have like 30-40 likes at this video. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hopefully, like once the video's over, we get to see all the likes. Hopefully it's there.
Yeah, we'll definitely check it out by the end of today's show. But Stuart, let's go ahead and get into our honorable mentions, guys. To go ahead and start kicking off our show. These are some topics that we thought you guys certainly deserved to know, even though we did have ourselves 6 topics that we're going to be getting into for you guys today. We may only get to 5 of them, along with your guys' live viewer questions. But go ahead and kick us off, Stuart, with your honorable mention, because we got people in the chat that are just aching for this news, bro.
Yeah, and everyone can probably guess what the first one is, and it's basically with the upcoming 30th anniversary of the Power Rangers. We finally got a title for it, and I think a lot of Power Ranger fans are going to like this title because it's once and always, kind of a reference to the 15th anniversary phrase, which is once a Ranger, always a Ranger. I don't think they ever used that phrase in Megaforce or in Ninja Steel, but it's kind of a cool callback because a lot of people really like. I feel like I'm in that minority of people that didn't really like the 15th anniversary special that much. I thought it was okay, but it still suffered from the really bad editing style that Overdrive had that I just really don't like. But with that being said, once and always is going to be the title of our 30th anniversary special for Power Rangers. It's going to be coming to Netflix. What was it? April of next year, I think. Pretty soon. It's not that long of a wait actually at this point. So I would be expecting a trailer like maybe sometime in January, February, maybe. Really kind of depends on I guess it really depends on how much confidence Netflix really has in this, and I hope the sooner the trailer is released, I guess that could be kind of a measure of how confident they are in it. So hopefully it comes soon.
Yeah, I hope it comes soon also. With when it comes to Netflix, I feel like they cut it down to the wire pretty close usually when they make big announcements, I feel like. But yeah, I'm if anything, I would expect maybe when we said April, I would expect probably like February, early March, if we were to get anything. So we'll keep an eye out on that. But once and always, if you ask me, I think that's a perfect and very fitting title for not only the reunion, but I think also the idea of just tributes. You know what I mean? Not only the idea of saying farewell to this MMPR cast. This might be the last time that we get the opportunity to see some of them on screen, aside from the 30th anniversary season itself. So I do think it's quite fitting for them to either take their final bow. And I feel like anytime you talk about the idea of once a Ranger, always a Ranger, it's just kind of commemorating, the Rangers' status in regards to, just the overall bigger family that they've kind of created over the so many seasons and years type of thing. So to kind of say farewell to the MMPR cast, and of course to give our tributes to not only Tui, but also Jason, I think is pretty fitting. So I think overall this is like as perfect of a title as you can find for a reunion special, honestly. And I'm really hyped. It's already been filmed. It's probably ready to go in the can, sort of thing. They're probably still doing the post production now that I think about it. But has Cosmic Fury wrapped? I think Cosmic Fury, they just recently wrapped. Do you know?
That I don't
know,
but I wouldn't be surprised.
All I know is we've been seeing a bunch of what do you call it? Abraham. He's been dropping a lot of New Zealand photos, teasing his involvement possibly in Cosmic Fury. I would assume it's happening. What do you think, Stuart? Have you been seeing some of his photos?
I've seen some of his photos that he's in New Zealand. I wasn't sure if it was because he's filming, but if he is, then yeah, I hope he is, because I mean, I really wanted to see like some sort of a Beast Morphers crossover with Dino Fury, and even if we can't get the full cast, I'll take like 1 or 2 actors from the show to cross over with it, and I'm going to be happy. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to it, guys. But let me know what you guys think about the title itself. Are you pumped for it? Do you like the sound of the title? Do you wish it was something a little bit different? Certainly go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. Lawrence over here is telling me Cosmic Fury did rap. I thought I saw a rap either photo or maybe it was something from Simon Bennett. I'm not quite sure. Down says it's interesting that Jordan Fight's new IG story is him still getting ready for Cosmic Fury, even though the rap party was yesterday. Okay, so yeah, I thought I read or saw something that they had rapped.
It could be like a late story, because it might have been a photo that he took like the day before and then he posted it the next day.
I was thinking to myself the other day, Stuart. Somebody had asked us a question about like if we can go to the club with like any celebrities, like who they would be.
Mm-hmm.
I have to officially change my answer. I
All
I,
right.
I would love to go to a club. I'm gonna name some Power Rangers here. Give me Hector David Jr. from Samurai because he's not only is he a DJ, but he's got some moves for sure. Jacqueline Sislowski, who played Zoe in Beast Morphers, she's an incredible dancer. I see her dance all the time on her IG, and I'm like, yo, I want to go to a club and party with her. And Christiane, who played Sarah Dino Charge. Man, she's an incredible dancer herself also. I would, yeah, just give me any Power Rangers that really loved it. Probably even Rory's a great dancer. I've seen him do some Michael Jackson moves. So give me a squad of 5: me, Hector, Rory, Jacqueline, and Christy. And that's my party crew.
Nice. Who was it that you said you had like a couple of drinks with at a bar, like during one of the conventions, and he was like
I
super?
didn't. It was Hector. It was
Oh,
actually
okay. I
Hector.
thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have drinks with them. Homeboy literally showed up to the bar. I think he was probably already drunk, if I'm not mistaken. Just being a big old goofball. It was such a great time interacting and talking with him a little bit. But yeah, it was fun times. But all right, so that's your honorable mention. Thank you so much for certainly bringing that up, as we had some Power Ranger news for you guys. And of course, if we get more Power Ranger information, we'll certainly go ahead and bring it to you here, as we usually always do. If not in its own video, you'll definitely find it either in honorable mentions, or I don't know if we've had a Power Ranger. I think we've had maybe one Power Ranger story that's been part of our main topic so far. But overall, we're definitely going to check it out. But yeah, keep you guys updated.
It's like challenging though, because usually like the Power Ranger stories that have been coming out recently are like really small, and so you can't really make like a full story out of it. All you can do is like, yeah.
And I try not to. And that's the thing, is like, I think since we've moved from More Phenomenal to here, it's like More Phenomenal was a great place to talk about every little tidbit. You know what I mean? But for here, I definitely want to discuss things that have been confirmed, interviews, things that we know are actually certainly going to happen. I mean, there's nothing wrong with us certainly speculating, but it's really the big announcements that we like to go ahead and certainly focus on here. And so that was definitely one of them.
The moment the interviews come back with Simon Bennett, we need to bring back the segment of Simon Says.
Yes, I still would love to interview Simon Bennett. I did go ahead and reach out to Hasbro poll. Was it me in regards to not being able to interview Simon Bennett, but they did say, come back and certainly ask again. So I definitely have plans on one day getting him on Hero Report with us.
They were probably worried that we were going to try to go for the spoilery questions.
Yeah, I'm actually even thinking about sending out an email to the presser to see if I can talk to Charlie Kirsch. They did have me forward a couple of questions, I guess, to maybe scan them to see like what kind of questions are you looking to ask. Are you going to get too spoilery? You know what I mean? But I do my best to certainly try not to. All right, so that's your honorable mention. What other honorable mentions do we have here today? Joker 2. Todd Phillips recently went ahead and revealed our first look Joker sequel. So we got Joaquin Phoenix here. Looks like he's getting that clean shave inside of Arkham Asylum, I got to assume here. But we're definitely going to be getting ourselves Joker 2. It is currently on the way and being filmed. I'm really excited for this film, Stuart. I know it's they threw us a curveball in the announcement that Joker 2 was going to be a musical. But when you see the talent behind this musical, I'm really pumped to kind of see how different this is going to be from the first movie.
Same. I'm also very curious. Is this going to be how he gets his scars?
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're on to something there, Stuart. Maybe you're on to something there, man. So we got that for you guys. Also, Stuart, we did get ourselves actually our first clip of Super Mario Brothers. Did you get a chance to check this out by any chance?
Nah, I usually try to stay away from like the TV spots and just watch the trailers, because the TV spots are usually where you get like the spoilers.
Yes, that is true. In this sense, I didn't feel like it was too spoilery at all, though. Sorry, hold on a second. Yeah, I didn't find it too spoilery at all. For me, it actually got me more excited for this film. One of the things that we talked about when we discussed the trailer or the first look, we were pretty hard on Chris Pratt's voice. But one of the things that we said in there was that like it's just one line though, right? Like it might be a little bit cringe right now. Like man, I just hear Chris Pratt. Maybe the opportunity of hearing it in a longer clip, in more scenes, maybe you might feel certainly a little bit different about it. There are certainly moments in this clip and even in the first trailer that we wind up getting where I was just like, it's actually not too bad. But I'm actually really had a lot of fun with this clip. Not only did Toadstool certainly make me laugh, there were elements that felt very much like you were kind of playing a video game, just seeing him and Toad like go through the Mushroom Kingdom and stuff, and seeing some of the platforms that they're trying to jump over and jump onto to get to wherever they need to. It definitely felt very much like I was literally ripped out of a video game. Even get an opportunity to see Mario go through one of the one of the pipes was pretty hilarious. Also to kind of see like what goes on in the pipes as he's trying to travel, sort of thing. But I had a really good time with this clip, man. It definitely made me laugh. It made me smile. Got my girlfriend pretty happy and excited for this particular film. I think this movie's going to crush, Stuart. I really do think this movie's going to be great.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of high hopes for it. I think I mentioned this, but like my only one concern is kind of from the second trailer, and it was more like everything I saw looked really cool. I just, in my head, I can't comprehend how it's all going to fit into like a narrative. You know what I mean? It seems like they're showing us like all these really cool things that feel straight from the video game. And so in my head, I'm like, all right, this is all cool, but how are you going to tell a story with all this? And, that's like my only worry. I'm sure like once I see the movie, it'll all like kind of make sense. Like once I see it all, you know what I mean? I think you're frozen.
Sorry. Yeah, my computer.
Oh, can you still
acting up again? There we go. Yeah, I missed everything you said, bro. Just to be honest.
Oh, totally cool. It's pretty much things that I've already mentioned before, which is just that I think like with the second trailer, they're showing us so much, and I think it all looks really cool. But I'm very curious on how it's all going to fit into like an actual story. Especially because it's an animated movie, so it's likely going to be very short too. So I'm curious how they're going to fit all this stuff into one movie.
Yeah, I will be really fascinated. And I do want this to be successful, especially for Nintendo. I feel like there's just so many great, rich properties that they have that can really be explored in animation or even live action sort of thing. Even from the trailer, get an opportunity to see that it's not just like a one Mario video game being adapted, right? It's not like they're taking the first movie and adapting it. It feels very much like it's just an amalgamation of every like Super Mario video game we've kind of ever seen. Like just seeing him on like his Mario Kart going off of like Rainbow Bridge and stuff. Like I'm really impressed with how they did it. And it just makes me wonder like what's the bigger picture here for Nintendo? Are we trying to get to a Smash Brothers? You know what I'm saying? Like, will all of Nintendo stuff be animated kind of going forward? So we have a gigantic crossover in cinematic universe. Like, I just really want this to be successful for Nintendo because I do want to see more of their properties on the big screen.
If it gets successful enough, I hope they can do an eventual Smash Brothers movie, and they can hopefully, if that becomes a big enough hit, at some point down the line, we can get a sequel where they can actually use the Sonic from the Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
Hey, I dig it, man. I dig it. I like the way you think. Let's see here. What else we got on honorable mentions? Last but not least, guys, Star Wars: The Acolyte is back in the news. It is, in fact, currently filming. For those of you who are not familiar with Star Wars: The Acolyte, this is, in fact, going to be a prequel television series that takes place 100 years before The Phantom Menace. So just before Episode 1, as we have a little bit of a Sith-led story where we're going to be having a Sith uprising, if you will, into the Senate and the government and things like that, and even into the Jedi to kind of see how this their tangled web began, if you will, Stuart. So this past week, since filming has begun, they have in fact been giving us some set photos here. So let's go ahead and go through some of these set photos, Stuart, as we've got Jedi on the scene, bro. Jedi are in the scene. This is the guy from can never remember the actor's name, but this is the guy from Squid Game.
Oh yeah,
That's him. He looks like he's a Jedi in this. I have a feeling we're definitely going to get some turns from the Jedi to the Sith. We even got ourselves a fantastic. I was going to say Chewbacca here, but no, he's not Chewbacca. A good old Wookiee. What else? We got some other set photos here for you guys. Also, I did have one of Daphne Keene. I don't know why I don't have that photo loaded up here. I'm pretty sure I did earlier today, but we got some other great images here for you guys. So, what do you make of some of these, Stuart?
man, I'm excited. It's basically like I don't know fully what to expect, but it kind of gives me vibes of Knights of the Old Republic in a way, just because we're seeing so
Ah,
many familiar designs, so many familiar costumes, but with so many unfamiliar characters. And I kind of mentioned this when we were talking about Andor. I feel like Star Wars, especially when it comes to its main characters, a lot has kind of been relying really heavily on the nostalgia factor of everything. So it's really nice to get a show like Andor, which really doesn't rely too much on anything but the character of Andor. And then now we got this, which is going to be a show that basically, or this is a show, right? Just wanted to double
yeah,
check.
it's a
Not a movie.
series.
It
It's a
is.
series. Mhm.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we're gonna have a whole series now where it's gonna be focused on again introducing us to very new like Star Wars characters, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It's gonna be really cool to see new things within the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I agree. I do think this is going to be in line with that of Andor in the sense of yeah, just really giving us some adult Star Wars here. Some great deep storytelling, not necessarily relying so much on the idea of can you take this image down for me, Stuart? My computer
Oh,
on my side is jacked up. If you want to scroll through some of the Acolyte set photos again, if it lets you, I don't know if it does or not.
yep.
Um, I tried to find the Daphne Keene photo, but for some reason it's not pulling up my photo gallery. Actually, I think it might have done that. But one thing I love about Andor is that it does have 12 episodes. So it does give us the opportunity to really stretch out a great storyline and really get into depth with a lot of these characters. And so the fact that we've got so many new characters that are being introduced here to kind of see. I don't know how many episodes we're going to be getting from Leslie Headland, who is in fact the showrunner for this, but it feels like if it is produced very much like the Andor series, the idea of the types of stories they can really sink their teeth into when it comes to the Sith and the Jedi and kind of infiltrate some sort of like infiltration, that type of stuff really does get me pumped, honestly. Here's Daphne Keene. You guys might recognize her. She played X-23 in the Logan movie. She was also in his Dark Materials series. She definitely looks vastly different with the hairstyle and the wig or whatever she's certainly rocking there. It gives me Sith vibes, Stuart. Like if there was anybody in these pictures that I think is going to be, I don't know who this kid is, but I dig his little Padawan tail that he's got there. If there is anybody in this series that I definitely do think is turning to the dark side, I'm thinking it's probably Homeboy up here, who I would assume is a master, and I'm kind of curious if this is his Padawan or not. But regardless, I have a feeling those two might be turning to the dark side, but that's just speculation on my part, though.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to a trailer. I feel like that's when it might become a little more obvious which ones we're going to see turning to the dark side.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So let us know your thoughts, guys, in regards to the Acolyte set photos. All right, Stuart. And with that out of the way, that will wrap up all of our honorable mentions today. So if anything, I think we should dive into our main topics. You ready, bro?
Oh boy, yes I am.
Yeah, this will be interesting. One, because of the fact that I feel really unprepared to discuss this topic right now, but we're definitely going to certainly do our best here for you guys as the DC world is ever changing, ladies and gentlemen. Stuart, I feel like it's getting to the point where we just should not get comfortable with anything that DC has planned for us right now. I mean, I think it's safe to say that 2023 is a lock with the films that they're going to be giving us. But if there were projects that were previously announced that we have gotten attached to, I would just say jump off board right now. Like don't even give yourself any expectations, certainly going forward, because some of the news that we wind up getting this week was pretty earth-shattering, certainly to a lot of us that were expecting some upcoming sequels, and maybe had an idea of maybe the direction in which they were going to be going in. But ever since David Zaslav, the current CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, announced that he has handpicked two CEOs, that's right, co-CEOs, for the upcoming DC Studios branch that will be focusing on film, television, animation, and things like that. It seems as though James Gunn and Peter Safran to take DC into the next decade, as they have plans on planning out the next 10 years, giving themselves a little bit of what do you call it, some groundwork in regards to and direction in regards to how they want to go ahead and build up this world. And one of the things, Stuart, around here that we've known is that anytime you get new management in, new management usually means new decisions, right? New mindsets in regards to how they want to certainly do things. And so what we thought we knew, we definitely do not. And what Patty Jenkins thought she had, she no longer has, as apparently one of the first things to bite the dust in this new regime change is, in fact, Wonder Woman 3 has officially been canceled, Stuart. Get your tissues ready. And that's not the only thing, guys, but we're going to go ahead and start from the beginning, because trust me when I say there is plenty to go ahead and talk about in here. But this was earlier this week. This was the first exclusive news that we wind up getting. Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 not moving forward as DC hits a turning point. It says DC Studios led James Gunn and Peter Safran are in the final stages of prepping their multi-year plan ahead of next week's pivotal presentation. And I do think, Stuart, it's kind of important here to also say, we shouldn't necessarily blame James Gunn for these decisions. A lot of these decisions were certainly made outside of James Gunn. I think for maybe Michael, I can't remember his name, Michael Diabdi, and I can't remember who the two studio heads are currently right now, but they definitely do have some other people that are making these decisions, as David Zaslav is currently waiting to hear from James Gunn and Peter Safran on their upcoming plans. I think they actually meet sometime this week to go ahead and discuss that. So let's go ahead and dive into this and just see exactly how much this DCEU world is changing. It says a cleaning of a slate is common when new executive team is put in place. That's what we just said, to run a studio or division. But there is likely little precedent for the amount of Clorox James Gunn and Peter Safran can spray as they prepare to launch DC Studios and guide superhero movies for the next half decade and beyond. It says the duo in recent days flew back to Los Angeles from Aspen, Colorado, where they were huddled in deep planning, and now like holy figures coming down from the mountaintop, have sets of commandments or a DC Bible in hand, or at least a working blueprint. I love that. I love that description. It says multiple sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 is not moving forward and is considered dead in its current iteration. It says sources say that Jenkins recently submitted her treatment, co-written with Jeff Johns, that Gunn and Safran, as well as Warner Brothers Pictures, broke the news to the filmmaker, telling her the project as it stood did not fit in the new but still unfolding plans. Jake directed and co-wrote the previous two movies starring Gal Gadot and released in 2017 and 2020. No decision has been made about next steps. And while costs are not a factor, insiders say that DC Studios will not have any overburdensome financial restrictions. The studio could end up saving tens of millions of dollars by not making a according to the sources, was on track for a $20 million payday for Wonder Woman 3. So they definitely are saving themselves some money. It is unclear on how any future Wonder Woman movie and Gadot's portrayal of the hero would fit in the new DC plan. In a bit of a head-scratching timing, Gadot tweeted out of the blue a thank you to fans on Tuesday, saying that she was grateful to be allowed to play the heroine and role model, adding, "Can't wait to share her next chapter with you." It was unclear whether or not the actress knew the project was being toe tagged. The rest of the DC slate remains in flux, or at least is being kept deep in the pocket of Gunn's utility, first, which builds on shuttering the shuttering of Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3, is the closing curtain of the Snyderverse and the heroes cast by Zack Snyder for his Justice League. This one sees the shutting down of Aquaman 2 with the returning Henry Cavill and having no more Aquaman fronted by Jason Momoa. These characters are to cameo in The Flash, the highly anticipated time travel adventure set for June 16th release. Will be shot his part of the cameo in September, but sources say there is a debate inside the studio as whether or not to keep the cameo, and if its inclusion promises some studios would have no plans on delivering. It says Warner insiders caution that no plans have been finalized and that the Flash still remains picture. So before we get into anything further in here, Stuart, let's talk about this real quick. The big elephant in the room. It says the pair will unveil Zaslav's plan that is expected to lay out their vision, although not much of their plan, which insiders paint as still in a works in progress and one that is yet to be approved, is being kept deep in the Batcave. Details of several possible paths forward are trickling out. So even though James Gunn and them are not talking too much about what's going on, some information is trickling out. And the first big thing here is Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 is not moving forward. What do you think about? Did I lose you?
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you lost me for a second, but I think we're good. Yeah, so when it comes to the Wonder Woman side of things, I kind of have like a little bit of a different thought than I do with everything else kind of that was kind of being talked about when it comes to like the planning that wow, why did I say J.J. Abrams? Sorry, I meant James Gunn and Peter have been like kind of coming up with. But when it comes to Wonder Woman 3, I do find the whole story behind it kind of bizarre. So like looking at Wonder Woman 2, it was not a really big success, both critically and then of course financially. Yes, you can blame financially on COVID and everything, but critically, there's not really much you can blame on, when it comes to COVID. That's just all with the movie itself. Not a lot of people liked Wonder Woman 2 like they did with the first movie. Now here's the thing. Patty Jenkins didn't write the first Wonder Woman movie. She directed it. But she did write the second movie which didn't get very good reviews. So when she turns in this draft for a third Wonder Woman movie, and her bosses are kind of worried that some of the same issues from Wonder Woman 2 are in this script, and they ask her to look it over again and maybe give them something different, basically saying that, hey, this doesn't quite work with what we're going for. Do you have anything else? And for her to just kind of like say, nope, I'm not doing it now. Yeah, I just kind of like at this point think, well, good riddance at this point. I feel like the Wonder Woman franchise can still survive just fine without Patty Jenkins. And I'm sure Gal Gadot, would still love to be in the role of Wonder Woman. I hope it's not like a whole situation where Gal Gadot's like, well, if she's gone, I'm gone too. I hope not. But as long as we got Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and if we can and I'm sure with James Gunn now being the head of DC, I'd love to see who he would hire to take over the project. While I think Patty Jenkinson's her idea for Wonder Woman 3 is gone, I don't necessarily think this means that we won't ever get a Wonder Woman 3. I feel like there will still be one to come in the future, possibly. But I guess, yeah, that's just going to be a major wait and see. But I do think that in this particular case, whereas like I think that a lot of decisions for things that get canceled, I think a lot of them go to bad management. In this particular situation, I'm not blaming the management. I'm going to straight up say that, yeah, maybe I'm going to kind of say that the writer should have been a little bit more open-minded to change, especially given the reception from her previous film.
Yeah, I'm right there on board with you, man. When it comes to Wonder Woman 1984, it was a film that like the first half, if not the first act, I was a really big fan of. For me, it really wasn't until they really started getting into the concept of the wishes and stuff that the movie just kind of jumped the shark for me. And it was really hard for me to really enjoy it as much as I certainly wanted to. I get some of the things that they were certainly going for, but it just didn't necessarily hit me the way that I certainly wanted to. So I had a reception to Wonder Woman 1984, and a lot of it had to do with the script itself. I think there were parts of that script when I was just like, oh yeah, that's totally a Jeff Johns moment. Like that's definitely, yeah, Jeff Johns definitely went ahead and put that in the movie, and to its detriment, unfortunately, at times I personally felt. So the fact that they had plans on going back to the well of having Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns write the script for this one again was mind-boggling to me. I felt like anybody that did complain or had mixed thoughts about 1984, the script was probably their problem. And so the fact that they even elected for Patty Jenkins to go ahead and write again along with Jeff Johns, when they tell me they canceled it and that they had some writer's notes, and I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense to me. I felt like the script probably wasn't as strong as it probably certainly needed to be. And the fact that you just felt Patty Jenkins was more known for her directing skills than she was for her script writing. Now, I know her film Monster that she did do the screenplay for, I believe, did get nominated. But if you look at like her writing credits, they're nothing compared to her directing. And I thought she did an amazing job directing, like you pointed out. So to have her be the writer of this film, I didn't mind her putting her toe in the water in 1984, but after seeing that, I would think that they would have her come back, at least have her come back for Wonder Woman 3 just as a director. Maybe some of her ideas, but maybe a different route to go ahead and adapt the screenplay or her ideas for the big screen is what I was hoping that they would certainly do. And if anything, Stuart, she was supposed to go ahead and do a Rogue Squadron movie for Star Wars. Here reports that the same issues that she had here on 19 or Wonder Woman 3 are the same ones that she's having on Rogue Squadron. The idea that the script that was handed in was a bit of a mess, that they wanted her to go back and make changes, and she was adamant about not having to do so. I think that's a terrible like personality trait to have when you're working in Hollywood or working with, and they're giving you millions of dollars to work on their properties. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of disturbing to me, man. I'm really hoping that some of these stories are not true whatsoever.
And then yeah, to correct for this one, it's not necessarily that she makes one mistake with Wonder Woman 84. It's more of like when she's given an opportunity to do another movie after the previous one was a flop, she turns in the script. The studio executives aren't a fan of the script. They ask her to redo it, meaning that, they were still on board with having her as a writer, but she herself didn't want to do any more rewriting. She herself was blaming the executives for not seeing her vision. And then she walked out, rather than trying to come up with a compromise or anything like that. So that's why for me personally, I don't blame the exec. If the story goes the way that the internet is kind of, the way that the narrative that the article itself is kind of shooting, if that's actually how it happened, then I don't really blame the executives for not wanting to go forward with Wonder Woman 3, you know?
Yeah, I don't blame him either. And I think you're on a different here. A lot of us, I don't know if you hear it said, my damn computer don't even work now. He says it's kind of sad that Wonder Woman 84 aren't that upset. Is this kind of endorses the trope that women and people of color are held to an arbitrary standard? I don't agree with that at all. To the standard of write best script, girl. That's all we're asking for. If there was anybody else that wrote a poor script, we would certainly be asking them the same. But you know, whatever Kool-Aid you're drinking, man, and just wait, just a brief minute. But yeah, it's not the end of Patty Jenkins' career. She certainly has plenty of opportunities to go on and create classic other movies if she certainly wanted to. I just think, just based off of the reports, if somebody's asking you to make changes to a script to make it better and you're not willing to do so, that sounds just like a really difficult work environment, man. And like, it's just somebody that I personally necessarily want to work with, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to be blackballed from Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did I lose you?
My internet sucks today.
Oh, there we go.
No, I'm still here. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Let's see. Go back to the article here. I'm gonna go back to the article here. Where did we leave off at? Oh, yeah, talking about the Black Adam, Superman 2, Man of Steel stuff. It says the Cavill situation is a little bit more thorny as the actor made a cameo in Black Adam. The Monday after the movie opened, Cavill posted a video on Instagram where he was announced, "I wanted to make it official. I am back as Superman." And at the time, he certainly was not incorrect. It says, I'm trying to think here. It says Andy Muschietti, who directed The Flash, even expressed interest in sitting behind the camera for something that would have been brought a tone similar to hopeful and heroic colors of 1978 movie directed by Richard Donner. It's considered a benchmark in comic book movies. In fact, the current leadership team at Warner Brothers did desire one more go-around of the Snyderverse heroes, possibly even having another Justice League movie with those actors. But that was before Gunn and Safran began formulating their new plan. Also unlikely is a sequel to Black Adam, despite the hype surrounding the movie of launching a new corner of the DC. A lot of it led by star Dwayne Johnson. The movie has already grossed $385 million worldwide, and insiders at the studio say the movie, which cost more than $190 million to produce, will be lucky to break even considering the other revenue. Even if the movie doesn't eke out a minimal profit, any follow-ups inherit rising costs, dim the prospect of a sequel. So that kind of sucks too, Stuart. So yeah, they're really giving us updates here. Let's see here. What else we got? Jason Momoa, meanwhile, could emerge as a pivotal figure in the new plans. According to several sources, in one scenario, the actor would wrap up his days as Arthur Curry in his final movie. It says, but it would not spell the end of the actor's involvement with the DC, with sources saying the actor would lead another movie or franchise. The character of Lobo has been mentioned in connection with Momoa, which, Stuart, to this day, that's just odd to me. Whether or not Momoa does play everybody's favorite Bastich, Lobo emerging as a rising character early on in the conversations may point to the kinds of characters Gunn and Safran team may be focusing on. The character is an outsider, an anti-hero, and is keeping in line with Gunn's specialty of taking the offbeat and quirky and flipping it into crowd-pleasing fare. So what do you think about that, Stuart? The idea of Black Adam may not be getting a sequel. Superman 2 seems very much on edge right now. And Aquaman may be turning into Lobo. A lot of shit on here, man.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to unpack here when it comes to some of the future plans of DC. One thing that I will say, I do want to bring up the tweet that James Gunn made a little while ago, saying that yes, some of what we saw in this article is true, some of it might be true, but they haven't decided yet, and there is false news within this article as well. So how much of it is which? Obviously, James Gunn did not specify, and so this is what I'll kind of say is that I love James Gunn, everything that he's produced and directed, basically given us. But that being said, currently where we're at right now, and it's not that I don't think that things are going to get better. I'm sure they will, but you got to admit that it's kind of challenging to really get excited for kind of some of these new ideas that we're hearing about coming soon, when all we're currently hearing about is things no longer happening. So essentially hearing that Jason Momoa is going to be leaving as Aquaman, the idea that we may not after all get Henry Cavill as Superman. These type of things make it hard to get excited for what's going to be coming later if all we're hearing about is what we're not getting later on. But and it's also like hard to say for sure like what exactly their plan is. Like if it turns out it's true that all these actors are kind of going to be like slowly like leaving the DCU, then you kind of like wonder why even bother keeping this universe around at this point, because the people that kind of helped build it without even getting a big send off, they're just kind of casually being written out of it. So to me it just feels like if this article is true, if like all these things are no longer moving forward and like all basically all these actors are moving on to different things, and even Jason Momoa might be playing a whole new character, I just feel like at this point you might as well reboot the entire universe if this turns out to be true, and then just start with a completely fresh new slate. But that's just me. So what do you think?
Listen, I think for me, it is one of those things where I definitely am in agreement with you. I think the fact that they've made a point to state that the Flash film is unlocked still makes me think that they still have plenty of time if they need to throw anything in there to kind of set up the future. They'll definitely take any option that they have. I mean, this movie doesn't release until June. So I do think whatever James Gunn's plans certainly are, I do think if there's something that needs to be implemented and changed in that process, that they'll probably use the Flash movie in order to go ahead and really start off that brand new universe of theirs, or at least that's kind of what I'm hoping will happen. That would put in the two other films though that we have slated for 2023, and I think that's Blue Beetle along with Aquaman. And it makes me wonder too, like, would they ever go so far as to move the movies around again? Like, could the Flash be pushed back again, say to like December of next year, and then bump Aquaman up? Maybe keep Blue Beetle where it's certainly at, but utilize the Snyderverse characters, knock all their movies out, and then use the Flash as sort of like that send off. I really don't know, but the fact that the Flash movie is unlocked, I think it does give them options to kind of make whatever changes that they certainly need to. One of the things I was trying to bring up here, Stuart, real quick, is the James Gunn stuff that you mentioned. Let me go ahead and bring this up. We have finished with that article. Let's go ahead and bring this up here real quick. This is from James Gunn. I want to make sure that I have all of his tweets for you guys, just to kind of back up what Stuart was just saying.
That is something I do love with James Gunn being in charge. Anytime that now, like when people try to do like a clickbaity article, I do like that he'll kind of come out right away and let us know whether or not it's true. And in this particular case, I like how he didn't specify what parts were true, but he did specify that, yeah, aspects of it are true, aspects of it are false, aspects of it are, we haven't decided.
And so, yeah, this is his response to the Hollywood Reporter. He says, yeah, so as for the story yesterday, some of it is true, some of it's half true, some of it's not true, some of it we haven't decided yet whether it's true or not. Although this first month of DC has been fruitful, building the next 10 years of story takes time, and we're still just at the beginning. Peter and I chose to helm DC Studios knowing we were coming into a fractious environment, both in stories being told and in the audience itself. And there would be an unavoidable transitional period as we moved into telling a cohesive story arc across film, TV, animation, and gaming. But in the end, the drawbacks of that transitional period were dwarfed by the creative possibilities and the opportunity to build upon what has worked in the DC so far and to help rectify what has not. We know that we are not going to make every single person happy every step of the way, but we can promise everything we do is done in the service of the story and in the service of the DC characters we know you cherish and we have cherished our whole lives. And then he says, as for more answers about the future of the DC, I will sadly have to ask you to wait. We're giving these characters and the stories the time and the attention they deserve. And we ourselves still have a lot more questions to ask and answer. So, and I agree with you perfectly, Stuart. I feel like I'm so glad that James Gunn is the one in charge, because if you've ever seen James Gunn and how he interacts with people online, he's straightforward, honest, and truthful as he possibly can be. He doesn't really sugarcoat too much here. And I think while there is a lot of confusion in the world for Warner Brothers fans, I think the idea of having James Gunn at the helm has got to give you some sense of comfort, and I truly believe that he knows exactly what he's doing here. And it is always a hard transition. I think, like I said, sometimes our own expectations get in the way of allowing things to breathe and to have its time to kind of be developed. And, I think while we're probably upset and pissed off at this particular moment in time, next week, 2 weeks from now, when James Gunn's plan is revealed, I think a lot of us will forget this moment ever happened and look to the future and be like, man, I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of pumped for what James Gunn certainly has in mind for us. But it's always going to be messy, unfortunately, Stuart, I think.
Yeah. What else was I? Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to point out with the article, I totally forgot, but the idea that James and Peter went to Aspen and basically kind of like locked themselves away in order to come up with like kind of an entire basically DC Bible for the DC
Bible
movie going forward. I wish I could have been in that room with them. I would have been more than happy to sit quietly in that corner, and I would have signed whatever like non-disclosure agreement they would have had. Although, I mean, I can't keep my mouth shut, so I probably would have ended up talking about it at some point with someone. But still, like that would have been such a cool thing to like kind of just not necessarily be a part of, but be able to witness. Like a part of me really hopes that they actually like recorded themselves, because I would love to 10 years from now, after we see how the DC their plan is actually played out, I would love to hear what the meeting was like between the two of them.
Oh yeah, I absolutely would love to. So Dino Knights does say here, so does that mean we won't see Henry Cavill anymore, or for the time being? That's still very much up in the air. Christopher Throbbin says Snyder isn't a screenwriter, I guess talking about Zack Snyder, and no one's saying it should be done, just not be. Yeah, I think her strength should be to direct, especially if she's going to be, that about criticism from or creative criticism from the studio heads. Marcelino does say, hopefully Blue Beetle becomes a part of James Gunn's cinematic universe and anything that relates to the old DCEU gets written. Yeah, I hope Blue Beetle is still a go there. I feel like it is. I really don't think it's in any danger. It's just, does he have a place in what James Gunn is certainly planning out? We'll definitely have to see. On top of that, let's go ahead and just kind of wrap this up a little bit, Stuart, in the sense of making sure we got our ducks in a row so we know where we stand when it comes to DC, because apparently this shakeup right now is really pissing off a lot of people in Hollywood. And listen, to that, I will just say, Stuart, when they canceled the Batgirl movie, People were up in arms. How dare you do this? How could you possibly do this to these people? You just completely ruined their career, yada, yada, yada. We heard people come out and say, nobody's ever going to want to work with Warner Brothers again. This is really going to just put, people are just going to have a terrible taste in their mouths when it comes to Warner Brothers Discovery. And I kid you not, Stuart, this past week, one of the articles I wound up reading was the fact that the directors, the duo of the directors that had plans for doing Batgirl, talked about not only just how painful it was to have their movie canceled, but you know what else they said, Stuart? They said, we would love to work with Warner Brothers Discovery again. Like they are open to the idea of still working because of the fact that they know, look, it's a opportunities like this certainly don't come around every once in a while. And you got new management in town. You got people that have a completely different vision, and probably want to certainly have you back. So, as many people out there that will say Warner Brothers maybe is putting a bad taste in their mouth and nobody wants to work with them, I honestly, I don't believe that. I just do not believe that, because if David Zaslav or James Gunn comes knocking on your door and say, hey, we're starting a brand new DCEU, we think the Flash would be perfect for you. You got a script? Fuck yeah, they got a script. Are you kidding me? Yeah, they're going to be knocking on that door to get that opportunity. Please, people are definitely going to be wanting to work with Warner Brothers, because comic book movies these days, Stuart, are money makers, my guy, money makers. So I don't really believe a lot of that stuff that people spew.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. And then also kind of the one last thing that I want to kind of talk about, like I see there's like a lot of petitions because of all this, like people already really wanting James Gunn to get fired and everything.
Like, what?
I'll say this, like if the DC universe gets completely rebooted and like all the rumors that we see on this article are true, I'm going to say this now. I'm pretty sure that wasn't a James Gunn decision, because remember, James Gunn also had a hand in the DCEU. You know, he did the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. So if it is true that they do want to like basically just kind of do an overhaul on DC, and that means like resetting everything, I think it's pretty safe. It's a pretty safe bet that James Gunn did it because David Zaslav was like, okay, this is, you need to make a new DC universe and you can't use anything from the previous universe. All right. I'm going to say that it definitely has to be a Zaslav decision and not a Gunn decision, because that would be really bizarre to me to contribute to something and then suddenly want to completely wipe it out of existence. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And this is for Gabriel real quick. Gabriel says David Zaslav, James Gunn, and the other people. I have no idea who is actually in charge of Warner Brothers and DC Studios. So as of right now, it is David Zaslav. He is the head honcho, the number one guy, the CEO of all of Warner Brothers Discovery. And they have now formed a branch for DC Films to have its own section, and that is DC Studios. And the people in charge of DC Studios is James Gunn and Peter Safran. James Gunn is going to be handling most of the creative decisions storyline-wise. Peter Safran probably still creative, but more on the producing side of things. So they're going to be co-CEOs. So James Gunn and Peter Safran, co-CEOs of DC Studios, and they answer to David Zaslav. Then that's the only people that they certainly have to answer to. I'm sure they probably work alongside some other people, but yeah, David Zaslav is certainly above them. I'm trying to take down this. Can you take down this article for me, or has it gone already on your side?
Oh,
this quote. It's frozen on my side again. Thank you, sir.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. All right. Let me see if I can. My computer's just all janky today, bro. This is driving me crazy. Like, I cannot stand this shit today. All right. Let me go ahead and bring up this other article here for you guys whenever my computer wants to work. Here we go. So let's go ahead and dive back into this. So this is from deadline.com. DC Disruption has the town jittery. What's next? So this is updated with news about Cavill's Wednesday's DC chaos about the unplugging of Patty Jenkins' version of Wonder Woman 3, coupled with rampant rumors of the studio's new heads turning the comic book label upside down, sans a Henry Cavill Man of Steel 2, and possibly recasting of many current big superhero roles has left the town with the bad case of PTSD. It says the lack of communication to talent reps and content creators by the studio about what's next in the DC empire as Gunn and Safran map it out has brought back bad flashbacks of when former Warner Brothers CEO Jason Killer surprised and alienated Hollywood with his Project Popcorn theatrical day and date release. And even Disney CEO Bob Chapek's war with Scarlett Johansson over Black Widow. They're comparing all that to this. So that's how much people are freaked out. He says, this is creating a riot, says one content maker connected to the DC fair, about the level of silence they've received on the fate of their DC projects kind of going forward. And it's a horrible optic. This business is based on relationships. And that's probably very much true. That is, I would assume as a content creator has got to be absolutely terrifying to know that you've got something on the docket that you're supposed to be working on, but not sure as to whether or not it's still moving forward or it's going to be completely canceled. And while I wholeheartedly believe that these people have every right to certainly be freaked out, when even though it certainly does look bad in regards to relationships, trust me when I say these same people, once DC probably gets their footing on the ground and knows the direction in which they want to go, will certainly be happy and thrilled to finally have some sort of direction. It says, when it comes to rumors out there that the core superhero cast members, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, and Henry Cavill, might be recast as the Gunn Safran administration creates a synergistic plan for the DC brand across all mediums, our sources say these franchises, which already make a lot of money, why stop them? How can a studio that's bearing so much debt afford to start from scratch? There's a script. There are scripts and actors' schedules to figure out. It says those three actors and Dwayne Johnson are repped by WME, and a complete turnover of DC stars by Warner Brothers would put them in a check to a big agency. No one is getting ready to go to war a la Disney with Johansson, despite everyone currently playing nice. And anxiousness lurks. On the other hand, we hear that Andy Muschietti and Indiana Jones director James Mangold are excited to do business with the Gunn Safran-led studios, and I think they have. I think they have every right to be. I think sometimes people, I don't want to say over exaggerate these situations, but there are situations where I'm just like, guys, let things play out first. And I'm sure once it does, everybody will probably also be on board, like Andy Muschietti and James Mangold. Gunn sought to ease things today on Twitter, acknowledging the fractious environment that they're certainly walking into, and that's something that we definitely talked about here as well. Yes, let's there's a lot of hot air out there, so this is what we know at this point. So Wonder Woman 3, according to those in the know, it was Patty Jenkins who walked away from receiving notes on the treatment she submitted to the studio. Apparently, her threequel pitch had character arc problems that rivaled those of Wonder Woman 1984, which, despite being impacted at the box office during COVID, it was panned by critics, 58% on Rotten Tomatoes, and not a rave with fans with a B+ cinema score, despite the first one getting an A. One rival studio executive observed the potential problem in the current DC setup of having filmmaker like Gunn providing notes. Says one rival studio executive observed the potential problem in the current DC setup of having a filmmaker like Gunn providing notes to an established filmmaker like Jenkins. But we hear that Warner Brothers chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdy had concerns about the treatment before Safran and Gunn even weighed in. The group provided notes. Jenkins fought back and defended her vision that the threequels character arcs were solid. Jenkins was given the opportunity for another pass, but opted to walk. While the optics of Wonder Woman 3 not going forward in the wake of axing Batgirl provides bad optics for the studio, it was never anyone's intention to be sexist. The hope for another Wonder Woman film exists. The question is whether Gadot wants to make it sans Jenkins. And judging from actress tweets 2 days before the explosive DC news, it sounds like she wants to kind of stay aboard. So that's interesting, Stuart. They're kind of throwing in another idea here that while the optics certainly look bad, the hope for another Wonder Woman film still exists. Question is whether or not Gadot wants to make it without Jenkins. And they're taking the tweet that we had just talked about, that thinking that she might still want to be on board. How are you feeling about this Wonder Woman 3? I mean, do you think we'll get, like, I'm not under the impression we'll get a Wonder Woman 3. I think we'll get ourselves another Wonder Woman movie at some point in time. I just don't know if it's going to be Wonder Woman 3. Do you think so?
I think it'll be Wonder Woman 3. Again, it kind of really depends on what their overall vision is going forward. If it's like going to be, again, a full on reboot, or if it's just going to be like a, let's say like if they go the Flashpoint route where it's like they make like small changes to the universe but they don't fully reboot it, then yes, I think we will get a Wonder Woman 3, because it seems like Gal Gadot really likes playing the character regardless of if Patty Jenkins is involved or not, because if she didn't like playing the character, she wouldn't have been playing it in Justice League as well. So I do think that as long as Gal Gadot's on board, we will get a Wonder Woman 3, and also as long as they decide not to reboot the entire universe. So yeah, currently I'm a little more I'm a little more on the side that I think we are going to get it. It just won't be by Patty Jenkins.
I gotcha. And it would be a shame, because I really would like to see her direct it.
Yeah,
and just
same.
bring in another writer. You know what I mean? But hey, what do you know?
It's just bizarre to me, because again, it's like everyone, like, look, I think everyone can agree that her strength is definitely in directing. Like, even though the writing in Wonder Woman 1984 wasn't the best, I do think it had some really solid like action scenes, and just obviously the effects looked really cheesy at times, but like I think that was kind of on purpose because they wanted to make it feel classic. So maybe don't try to do that, because that can come off as an excuse at times, you know what I mean? But like, again, I do think for the most part, there were some really great shots in the movie. And I think, again, like a lot of the action was really well filmed. So I think she knows what she's doing when she's behind the camera, when she's directing. I just think that, yeah, if we had another writer on board, it could help make the third Wonder Woman movie a really solid like end to the trilogy.
And I just think as a writer, you really got to be flexible to take criticism, man.
Yeah.
You really have to be. Man of Steel 2 and the whole Henry Cavill of it. It says before Gunn and Safran even arrived, it was DeLuca and Abdi's decision with Johnson. Sources tell us to put Cavill Superman at the end of Black Adam to give the dark movie an uplifting and an exciting cliffhanger. No regrets there, is what it says. And so I just want to point out, before Gunn and Safran, there was DeLuca and Abdi. And so a lot of these decisions certainly are falling on their lap. And I think that's a perfect example of what we just read here in Wonder Woman 3, that they've already read the script and had issues with her script. And then James Gunn and Safran looked at it to kind of see maybe how would it fit into what they're certainly doing. And they gave her notes. And if she doesn't want notes and she thinks that what she's got is good enough, that's certainly on her. But I don't necessarily think we can put all the blame certainly on James Gunn and Peter Safran. Like you said, Stuart, people that are having these petitions now to bring back Zack Snyder, fire James Gunn. I'm like, you guys are just reaching, like really reaching at this point. But it says Cavill is managed by Danny Garcia, who also reps former spouse Johnson. There had been some championing for some time for Cavill's team for the actor to return for a Man of Steel role. It says Cavill, we heard from one source, took it upon himself to announce his return as the Man of Steel on Instagram on October 4th, the day before Safran and Gunn were named as heads of DC. However, in recent development, we've seen correspondence that Cavill was in lockstep with the studio in announcing his return on IG. DeLuca and Abdi, before the duo's arrival, heard a pitch from Man of Steel producer Charles Roven and a writer. Stephen Knight, they didn't like it and wanted to wait for Safran and Gunn's plan to come into place. Hence, Man of Steel 2 never was greenlit, didn't have a director, nor was it packaged. So, Man of Steel 2 remains an open slot until the studio hears a better pitch. And then it says over the Thanksgiving holiday stretch, Johnson revealed in a video post that he fought hard with Warner's to bring Henry Cavill back. Said Warner's inexplicably and inexcusably did not want to bring Cavill back, but he was not going to take no for an answer. And so, yeah, he definitely tried to do his best here. So it does seem right now, Stuart, that when it comes to Man of Steel, that might still be up in the air of Henry Cavill certainly returning. This does sound very much like they mentioned, even though they believe that they were certainly in lockstep for Henry Cavill to certainly make his return and make that announcement. Abdi and DeLuca were clearly not pleased with the script that was given to them. So it still left Man of Steel 2 up in the air, but nowhere in here am I hearing that it has been canceled. I think it just really depends on, will it fit into what James Gunn and Peter Safran are trying to do. And I there's a part of me that wants to think, look, I've heard James Gunn this past week mention that Superman is a priority for them. I gotta think that Henry Cavill certainly still returns. I gotta think that the uproar and the fans have been asking for this man to return for such a long time, that as James Gunn, I would hope that you're listening to the fans and really trying to make Henry Cavill's return as Superman work as best as you possibly can. What do you think, though?
Yeah, I don't think Henry Cavill is going anywhere because I feel like the executives at Warner Brothers know how excited the fans are. I definitely know that James Gunn knows how excited the fans are. I think the fact that they know that with Black Adam, the fact that the most talked about thing about that movie isn't even the movie itself, but it's the fact that Henry Cavill is in it for 2 seconds. I feel like if they're smart, they're going to look at that and say, hey, even if we do reboot everything, people love Henry Cavill as Superman, so there's no reason we can't keep him, especially when, again, the actor himself is still down to play Superman. Like, it's rare that you get an actor who's been, like, to me, I think, mishandled this much and yet still wants to and still is on board to be Superman. It's like, that's something where it's like, if you don't take advantage of it, I feel like I don't know, you're really missing out on a great thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. I definitely agree. So I'm hoping that this eventually does get greenlit. Hopefully, Cavill, James Gunn, Safran are all sitting around discussing potential ways that he can certainly be brought back. And hopefully we got ourselves a great script eventually. So we'll see how that turns out. But wait, what about the Flash ending with Cavill? Yes, Cavill shot it. There's something involving Clark Kent with additional cameos by Supergirl, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman in the film. However, the studio right now is sitting on these options until its executives confer with Safran and Gunn. It remains whether the duo want to do another Ezra Miller-led Flash, and if they do, how they'll tee that up. Miller has been ablaze in the tabloids by a number of run-ins throughout the year. The actor currently battling a liquor burglary theft charge in Vermont. The actor made a public apology for these actions. So again, I think it's important to emphasize the Flash is not a locked picture. It is not ready to go. I think all the moving pieces that you see here is probably a good thing for Warner Brothers in the sense that if they do need to make some significant changes to help to have the Flash movie benefit the changes that Gunn and Safran are certainly doing, keep it unlocked for as long as you possibly can until you have a plan, and then make any necessary changes, whether that's cutting out cameos, leaving them in there, or maybe adding in more reshoots or new scenes or whatever the case may be. So it does seem as though the Flash, while still set to release in June, and is just not ready to go fully yet. Black Adam 2. What are you going to say? You got something?
Oh, yeah. I was looking for a specific tweet and I just found it just because
it?
I wanted to make sure I was quoting it correctly. But someone named Den of Nerds tweets out, James Gunn does not like Henry Cavill.
I read that yesterday.
Huh? Oh, you
I
so
read that
okay,
yesterday.
cool. You
Yeah.
saw that, yeah? Because then Justin replies, "Henry Cavill cared to debunk this one," and then yeah, James Gunn's reply is just very simple: true, false, or no, sorry, he says sure, false. So yeah, basically, there is nothing that James Gunn has said to give me the idea that he's not interested in Henry Cavill continuing his part as Superman.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you there. As for Black Adam 2, it says it's been radio silence from Warner Brothers to the Pix team about whether there is a sequel to Johnson's led film. However, Warner Brothers Brash and Johnson are elated that the Pix stands to make a profit north of $50 million, despite false media reports. Warner's would be keen to keep an asset like Johnson with a half a billion social media followers in the fold. The People's Champion, having made several hit movies with New Line, including San Andreas, Rampage, and Journey to the Center of the Earth. So, I will say this, Stuart, because we have been getting like contradictory storylines. Variety.com reported earlier this week that Black Adam to lose millions at the box office, not even necessarily breaking $40 million worldwide, thinking that it was gonna lose maybe $50 million. But then The Rock kind of came out recently and pushed back and saying no, it's gonna make at least $50 million. Stuart, when I hear them arguing about that, I'm just like, guys, none of this really even matters anymore, because at the end of the day, this movie should have made more than $400
Mhm.
million. Are you kidding me? So the fact that we're arguing over it lost 50 million, it gained 50, you're impressed with that? Like, you should be disappointed with that. I mean, I will say the pushback here is Black Adam is a brand new character. Not that many people certainly know about him, but you got Dwayne The Rock freaking Johnson in this movie. And on top of that, it's a superhero flick, right? So that alone should have been like, this movie probably, I never expected this movie to make $1 billion. I never even really expected this movie to make $700 million. I think the fact that this movie could have came in about like 550, 600 million, I think that's probably more of a grounded sort of prediction there. Then I think celebrating and arguing whether or not it's a flop or not. But the fact that these people are arguing over, oh yeah, it is because it made $50 million, they shouldn't even be celebrating that, bro. At least I certainly don't think so. What do you think though, in regards to how Black Adam certainly performed?
I 110% agree with you on that. It's like, if they're really trying to say whether or not the movie like technically broke even, technically made a profit, it's like, okay, the fact that you're debating about it shows that the movie didn't make as much as it should have.
It should
Especially,
have.
yeah, because yeah, like you said, it had the two biggest things going for it. It had Dwayne Johnson and the fact that it was a superhero movie, and just like, okay, so going every time we were talking about this movie before, like having actually seen it, I was going into this movie really kind of expecting this to be kind of a passion project, for this to really
Mm.
be the time of Dwayne Johnson kind of breaking his comfort zone, trying something very new. And what I got were like elements, like they had really good ideas in this movie, but rather than trying to do anything interesting with them, they played it incredibly safe and just made a typical superhero movie, which I thought was fun, but it didn't really try to challenge anything. It didn't try to do anything new with its concept. It was just, it's a fun, if you like wrestling, you'll love this, because that's basically what it is. It's Dwayne Johnson basically
Yeah.
taking on the Justice Society one at a time, until suddenly, oh, there's a secret person behind the curtains. Oh, he's coming, and oh, there's a new challenger. That's the type of movie this is. It's fun, but yeah, with that kind of, it's weird to see like so much money being put into a movie where the writing just wasn't there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a movie that I walked away having fun with, right? Like, there are
Yeah.
people that are just like, we're not fans of this film, and I can see why some people certainly weren't fans of the movie. But for me, I walked away, enjoying the film certainly for what it was. Like I said, when I go see a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, I'm not expecting award-winning, emotionally hitting. Like I'm expecting a bombastic blockbuster film on television with, excuse me, on the big screen with a lot of action and explosions and some great one-liners, and for The Rock to give us his charisma as he's best known for. And I thought they certainly did that in this film. I have my issues with it, but for me, it was still fun and eventful to say the least. And I kind of echo the sentiments here of Marcelino. He says, while he wasn't a big fan of Black Adam, I'm so surprised that it didn't make more money. I'm surprised too, because I just thought, even if this movie sucked or if it really wasn't that great, that I honestly thought that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's name recognition alone would help bump this movie at least over $500 million, at least. And that's just unfortunately not what we got at all. And can you bring up Christopher Throbbins' comment for me too?
Where is yeah.
He said 50 million a profit, a success. LOL. Yeah, that's we're laughing at that concept too. It's like,
Yeah.
guys, just stop arguing over this. Like the movie, clear, like if you whatever makes you guys sleep better at night. Okay. The bottom line is this movie just did not perform like it should have. And the fact that I do think it is smart to keep Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson around. I still would give him a sequel though, honestly, though, despite this.
I don't even okay. So like, I'm with you. I'd keep Dwayne Johnson on board as long as he, wants to do it. But I don't really see a sequel doing well. So I wouldn't even want to make, because if the first movie barely broke
You're
even,
right. You're
a
right.
sequel probably would lead to like actually the studio losing money. So I feel like you'd want to keep him around as like a character to use in like a Justice League or just maybe in the next Shazam movie. I don't think it'd be a good idea to try to go for a Black Adam 2 personally.
You might be onto something there, Stuart. Maybe avoid at all costs that. Maybe it's the idea, like you said, of continuing Black Adam's storyline, but somewhere else in the DCU. And this says, will there be a complete reboot of DC core stars? One studio insider tells us at no point was there any preconceived notion of not continuing with these actors. It all boils down to how The Flash and Aquaman 2 do at the box office. Not to mention the studio doesn't want Gadot to hang up the Wonder Woman's lasso. So it seems like they're pretty adamant about keeping these actors around in some way, shape, or another. And it says, and Jason Momoa as Lobo, this is mere fan speculation at the moment, given how the actor resembles the anti-hero. Momoa and Gunn are friends, with the actor making a cameo as Aquaman. Yeah, I hadn't heard anything of
Did I lose you? Uh-oh.
official or really when the question just before this mentions they're really depending on how the Flash and Aquaman certainly does, and they clearly don't want Gal Gadot to hang up Wonder Woman's lasso as of yet. So I still think things are still very much up in the air, and I think even though it sounds kind of all over the place right now, the fact that people are such up in arms and disappointed and upset with a lot of the things that we've lost, I still think within a week or two time, when the plan continues to be revealed finally from James Gunn and Peter Safran, we'll breathe a sigh of relief. Hopefully we'll sing Kumbaya, and we'll certainly push forward. So I do think better times are certainly ahead when it comes to the DCU.
Yeah, I am really curious if like this pressure though from the internet, basically with everyone kind of like only kind of hearing the bad side of things that are possibly going forward. I wonder if this is going to put pressure on them to release like release their plan a little bit earlier than they were originally planning on doing it.
I think so. I feel like if they do meet up with David Zaslav next week, I think we'll probably get news on that in regards to at least what some of the concepts are. I don't know if we'll hear everything, but I have a belief some things will certainly trickle out in regards to whatever meeting that they have with David Zaslav. So I think we will get an idea of what the future might hold here rather soon. So yeah, hopefully within a week or two's time, we definitely will have more information for you. You know, one of the things that they talked about this week too, that they say we possibly lost, Stuart, was Batman Beyond, which I think maybe out of all the projects that they have named, probably hurt me the most. And like, I'm not even a Batman Beyond fan like most people certainly are, but the idea that I know that so many fans have been begging for something Batman Beyond related, and we were so close with how like heavily involved Michael Keaton certainly was with the DCU. Now for that stuff to just kind of be lost and taken away from us, sort of thing, that's probably the biggest project that I'm like really hurt about. But I'm really trying to be a good fanboy here and just, James Gunn, I trust you, man. Whatever decisions you're making, I'm trusting you. Please don't fuck this up.
I've never been so disappointed by something I didn't know I was supposed to be excited for.
Yeah. It was just one of the, like, the idea of returning Michael Keaton. I just thought it was like as perfect timing as you can get. Like, it didn't feel like it would have been rushed. It just felt like this was the perfect opportunity for it to happen. And now that it's no longer, I mean, who knows? Maybe it is still happening, right? Maybe James Gunn's got some plans up his sleeve that we don't know about, but I'm not going to get my expectations high anymore.
It definitely would have been something really cool to see, but like again, if you're going to be making a whole new universe, I definitely don't see that being able to fit in, at least, especially not this early on. You know, when you're just now taking over the DC universe.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, guys, that's DC in a nutshell. I'm sorry it took so long for us to get through all of that. There's a lot of moving pieces that are certainly still going on right now, and we're just really doing our best to try and navigate all this so we give you guys the proper information. So yeah, definitely let us know your thoughts in regards to the DCU. And hopefully we'll have James Gunn's plan soon. And with that, Stuart, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. We'll try and breeze through some of these for you guys real quick. We're going to jump into the world of Marvel as we do get ready for Phase 5. Now that Phase 4 has wrapped up with the Black Panther film, Wakanda Forever, we look to the future. And the future is going to be dropping this upcoming February with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. We've seen some clips, or not clips, I should say. We've seen a sizzle reel about Scott Lang's Ant-Man. We've seen a teaser trailer in regards to this particular film with very dark and ominous tones and vibes from it. And a lot of it not only comes from Kang the Conqueror, played by Jonathan Majors, but a lot of it also comes from Michelle Pfeiffer, who plays Janet in this movie, the mother to Hope Van Dyne, and Evangeline Lilly. The past week or so, when she was over in Brazil at the Comic-Con CCXP, had some really daunting comments in regards to the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. And I thought it would be pretty interesting, Stuart, for us to go ahead and tackle this and see exactly what she certainly said. So let me go ahead and pull this up. This comes to us from, is this comicbook.com? Yes, comicbook.com. Says that the Marvel star teases dark and difficult revelations in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Let's see here. Where should I start this off at? Oh, this is the quote that we got from the trailer. "What are you so afraid of?" Hope asked Janet in the sequel's first trailer. "There's something I never told you," a cryptic Janet said, hinting at a dark secret that won't come to light until Ant-Man's sequel. Hope, and this is what Evangeline Lilly says, "Hope was so excited to get her mom back, and she was thinking, this is going to be a fantasy, and I'm going to have my mom, and we're going to be best friends, and we'll tell each other everything, and my life will be perfect," Lilly said during the CCXP convention. "Life is never perfect, especially with our parents, especially with parents who have spent 30 years in the quantum realm." She says there's a lot that Hope doesn't know and doesn't find out about her mom until this journey begins, and it's a dark and difficult thing to deal with for her, is what Lilly said. So we're definitely going to have some mother-daughter fractioning here in regards to revelations coming from it. Who knows? Maybe Kang's Hope's real father, for all we know. That'd be trippy as hell. But there is something big going on here. Stuart, do you have any idea as to what it is Janet's big dark secret certainly is?
Maybe that both her and Hank aren't quite the heroes that Hope would think they are, from her childhood. Because and I say this because like in the comic books, Hank especially, I don't know about Janet, but I know like with Hank especially, he
Definitely
was
Hank.
not really a good person.
Yeah, definitely
They
Hank.
they even like had a Marvel What If storyline where they kind of have this idea where like he easily could have been the villain. He easily could have become a Yellow Jacket. The only reason he didn't was because he luckily stopped taking the serum that fueled the suit that would have ended up messing with his mind later on. But regardless, they even kind of hinted a little bit at it in Ant-Man and the Wasp. When it comes to what was the other Lawrence Fishburne? What was the name of the character he was playing?
I just remember
Uh,
Goliath. He was the Goliath character. I can't remember his name off the top of my head though.
but yeah, regardless though, so with Goliath and him, they had a rocky relationship, and we know there was nothing seemingly evil about Goliath, and the way that Hank tried to brush off everything that he said about him, like after they met up with him, I do feel like that's going to be part of it. I also wouldn't be too surprised if we find out that Janet had to do some, not so great things in order to survive while she was in the quantum realm, and that could be another thing that she'd be afraid of, her daughter finding out.
Yeah, I definitely do think it's probably. I definitely do think she certainly did something she certainly was not supposed to. I do wonder if she um, ended up having to work for King the Conqueror. Maybe he sold her out to some people in the quantum realm. I have no idea. I don't know. Never mind. My mom was going to go down a really weird place there, but no, I'm excited to kind of figure out what this revelation is, because it just feels like every scene that we've seen from this trailer is just dark and ominous. Like almost feels like every decision that they make in here is going to be a bad one. And so I'm really fascinated to kind of see what it is that is terrifying Janet so much. I definitely do think that her and Kang have certainly met each other before. I mean, I definitely do think she understands the much bigger threat. How close of a relationship her and Kang have certainly had, that's one that I do want to find out, because I do think that it might have been pretty close. Maybe not necessarily like relationship wise, but I do think that he might have asked her to do a lot of things that she just was not comfortable doing in order to kind of survive. So I do think that there is a connection between her and Kang here that we've yet to discover. But I do like your perspective there, in the sense of Hank's other personality, or the other side
Mhm.
of Hank that we've seen from the comic books, not fully necessarily explored in the movies, maybe coming to its true light here in this film. That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. If you had to figure out what Revelation was from Janet Van Dyne to the rest of her family, what do you guys think the big secret is? Go ahead and certainly let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that, guys, we'll move on to our next topic. And this is going to be, we're going to get into the movie realm these days. We're going to jump off the comic book side of things and discuss Ghostbusters. Stuart, I have still not checked out Ghostbusters Afterlife, bro. I was really thinking about trying to watch it before today, but never got around to it. Can you do me a favor, though, and see if you can find where Ghostbusters Afterlife is currently streaming?
I
Because
believe so.
we are getting ourselves a sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife. The fellow director Reitman went ahead and put together a pretty good film, to the point to where we definitely will be getting ourselves a sequel, following in his father's footsteps. In regards to tackling a Ghostbuster film, but it seems as though he has fulfilled his dream. He has completed the mission, and now he is giving up his directing duties to a new director. So when it comes to Ghostbusters Afterlife, for the sequel, things might be a little bit different. Let's go ahead and dive into this article here. This actually comes to us from deadline.com, that we've got ourselves a new director on board for Ghostbusters Afterlife. They tap Gil Keenan to direct with the previous cast returning. Did you find it, Stuart?
Oh
No?
yeah, it's on Stars, and I don't think I know a single person who has a Stars account.
I feel like Stars is like that streaming service or app that's like added to other things. Like, oh, get it's like there somewhere, or like they give you like free, get Stars for free for a month type of thing, But I
Yeah.
don't know anybody that just individually has a Stars app.
Same.
Uh, let's see. So this article states this is an exclusive. It says after successfully relaunching the franchise with the 20 Ghostbusters Afterlife, Sony Pictures is ramping up pre-production on the sequel with the film's writer and executive producer Gil Keenan set to take over directing reins. Sources tell Deadline that Jason Reitman, who directed the previous pick, will move into a writer-producer role alongside co-scribe Keenan and Jason Blumfeld. Insiders add that Ghostbusters Afterlife ensemble that includes Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon is on board to return. So this is what Gil Keenan says. He says it's an absolute honor to pick up the proton pack and stay behind the camera for the next chapter of the Spengler family saga. I just wish I could go back to 1984 and tell the kid in the sixth row of the Man Valley West that one day he would be going to direct a Ghostbuster film. It says while there's not much known about the sequel, but sources say the plan is to return to New York City in the iconic firehouse made famous in the original Ghostbusters film. And Jason Reitman himself said a few years ago, my father handed me the keys to the Ecto-1, and together we made Ghostbusters Afterlife. Words will never express how grateful I am to have made a film with my father by my side. It's now time to hand those keys over to my creative partner and fellow Ghostbuster, Gil Keenan, a brilliant director who will keep the Spengler spirit alive. I can only hope to provide him the same produceral care and support that my father showed me. I think that's really touching words from Jason Reitman, just to really show you who he is, certainly as a person. And so when I read this, I feel like everybody's kind of still on board, regardless of the fact that we've got ourselves a brand new director here. I feel like it's going to be just business as usual. I think the fact that Jason Reitman is still sticking on board with this film, at least co-writing with Gil, makes me think that these two are still going to be tied at the hip during the whole entire process of this filmmaking, just with a new eye behind the camera in Gil Keenan. And, I don't think Jason Reitman hands the keys to anybody else if he certainly didn't believe in it, especially just hearing, what the first movie meant to him and understanding how impactful his father, Reitman, certainly was to all of Ghostbusters. You know what I mean? So, one, I think it was just really emotional and really sweet for Jason Reitman's comments there, just to kind of see what it truly meant for him to even be directing a Ghostbuster movies in the first place. And then on top of that, his trust that he has in Gil, for me, makes me think that this movie is just going to go on without a hitch, personally. But what do you take away from it, Stuart?
Yeah, I think him stepping down as director, which makes a lot of sense actually, because I'll say this with the first Ghostbusters Afterlife movie, that one taking place in a very small town. A lot of it was filmed on location. So I imagine if you're moving that, to New York City, the skills required to, direct in a big city must be something completely different. So it makes sense that he'd want to step down and give that to someone else. That may not be the reason. That's just probably a reason I'm putting together in my head, but there could be a million factors, but it's one that makes sense to me. So that's what I'm going with right now. But that being said, yeah, I do like that he's still on board for writing. And I really did like the writing in the first Ghostbusters Afterlife. So with this one coming in, it'll be interesting to see what it looks like with the new director. I was looking him up on IMDb because I wasn't super familiar with the name of Gil Keenan, and I gotta say, I really hate this new format that IMDb has. It's actually kind of complicated for me now to figure out
I hate it
where
too.
they're. Yeah, but that all being said, now that I have actually figured it out and I'm seeing like his other films that he's worked on, not that many, but a couple of them I really like. Monster House. He did the remake of Poltergeist, which I haven't seen, and he also did an episode of the Scream TV series that was on MTV, which is actually not bad. It's actually not a bad series at all. So it's a relatively like not super experienced director, I guess. But at the same time, I'm intrigued. As long as the writing's there, I think we can get a good movie. We'll still have the same cast as before, so Paul Rudd and everyone like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay. I'm not really worried so much about the sequel with the new. If anything, I think that I'm just more fascinated to kind of see how different his vision in regards to shot selection and techniques that he decides to use. How different those are certainly going to be from Jason Reitman and his experience also. So we'll definitely have to see. But I think storyline wise, it'll probably feel like the same. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts now that Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel gets itself a new director. And then next up, guys, man, never say never, Stuart, in regards to this particular movie, because Jackie Chan is in the news, and I'm a big fan of Jackie Chan. I think the first Jackie Chan movie I had saw in theaters, my uncle took me to see, was Rumble in the Bronx. And it blew my mind to kind of see what one man can do with martial arts and a couple of fantastic objects he's just got laying around wherever he's at. I mean, Jackie Chan really just kind of blew my mind. And ever since he really started doing like Americanized films also, I was a big fan of the Rush Hour franchise, at least the first two installments. I kind of fell off after the third one. It didn't really please me too much. Didn't have too much to certainly write home about, but I was always a big fan of the first two films. Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, I thought, made a fantastic duo on screen, to say the least. After Rush Hour 3, I figured, look, we got 3 movies out of them. Let's wrap this up. We're good to go. Everybody's moved on with their lives. Well, Stuart, it seems as though we might be going back to the well one more time, because it seems as though, according to Jackie Chan, Aurora 4 is currently in the works. So let's go ahead and pull this up. This is, in fact, from deadline.com, where Jackie Chan confirms Rush Hour 4 is, in fact, happening. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. Give me one moment. There we go. Jackie Chan says Rush Hour 4 in the works, and he also teases an upcoming drama of his. Jackie Chan made a rare onstage appearance at the Red Sea Film Festival on Thursday, where he told fans that he's currently in talks to make a 4th Rush Hour movie. He says, "We're talking part 4 right now," adding that he is going to meet with the film's director this evening to discuss the script. He did not identify said director, but American filmmaker Brett Ratner directed 7 alongside comedian Chris Tucker. The franchise follows Hunter, who forms an unlikely relationship with a loudmouth LAPD officer to solve a series of international crimes. He says, "I've tried so many times to go to Hollywood, but after that I said no more Hollywood because my English is not so good. But they're not my culture. They don't like this kind of action," he said. But we loved your action, Jackie, to be perfectly honest with you, man. So it looks like we're going to get ourselves a 4th Rush Hour. And Stuart, can I be honest with you, man? I'm here for it, bro. I'm absolutely freaking here for it. Jackie Chan is still a great actor in my eyes. He may not have necessarily the best English in the world, but listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I saw his movie The Foreigner, I think, with him and Pierce Brosnan, where he has like a daughter that gets killed in like a domestic terrorist bombing or something like that. And I've never seen Jackie Chan go into such a drama-filled role. I mean, the range that Jackie had to do in that movie was amazing. It's pretty recent. I want to say within like the last 5 years, this movie might have dropped, The Foreigner. But absolutely loved it. I have no idea what Chris Tucker is currently doing in his career right now, but I'm pretty sure he's probably still fun talent sense. So this is something I definitely want to see. Listen, if Mel Gibson and Danny Glover at like 80 years old can give us another Lethal Weapon 10 or whatever number they're on at this point, Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker could give me a Rush Hour 4. I don't necessarily know if I need me a whole new trilogy of Rush Hour films, but at least give me one more Rush Hour film. Because look, it's been 2007 was the last one. So we're talking what, like 15 years since the last movie. I think it's time for another Rush Hour movie. I think they can pull it off just incredibly well. I feel like we have become the society of reboots, reunion specials. This is exactly what this would certainly be for me. And it's a group of people, characters that I kind of want to see what they're up to at this stage in their careers. So yeah, give me Rush Hour 4 for sure. What about you, Stuart? Are you on board with this, man?
Oh, I'm definitely on board with it. Totally going to be honest, don't know what direction they could possibly take the movies into this time, but I loved Rush Hour 1 and 2. I still to this day, I've only seen Rush Hour 3 once,
Me
and
too.
I haven't seen it since then. And it's not because I didn't like it. I do remember liking it. I just never got around to watching it again. I really should one of these days because, I think I literally only saw it once when it first came out. But yeah, love Rush Hour 1 and 2, and I think that is, as long as the writing is there, Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker just have some of the best like on-screen chemistry ever. So I think that they can take a simple script and they can make it just absolutely hilarious.
And I'm really interested to know who this director is. I think the fact that he says Rush Hour 4 is in the works and he's even planning on talking to the director, I'm like, man, this is actually a lot further along than I even thought it was. I mean, I guess they have the director at least, maybe not a script, but do you think if they've got the director, maybe they do have a script in place that they're kind of discussing? What do you think?
I think so. Usually, if you have the director ready to go, like a director isn't going to take up a project unless he knows exactly what he's working on. So I would assume that there's probably at least a script ready to go,
It's true.
even if it's just like a first draft.
Man, yeah, this feels very incognito development that we haven't even known about. And it feels like they've already made pre-production, getting stuff set up for. We have no idea what's happening. So the fact that he's like, yeah, I'm just going to meet with the director today. Like, what? There's a director attached? You guys are pretty serious about it. I think that definitely is something positive to certainly take away from this that I had so far. But
What
yeah,
I'd love
your
to see is
thoughts. Are
get like
you ready for a Rush Hour 4?
I'd love to see if it
Go ahead.
ended up being like the director of like the John Wick movies, because I feel like you could get a serious action director to direct a comedy like this, and especially because like even though it's all comedy, there is some really good choreograph that goes into a lot of the fight scenes. So I feel like if they got someone who specifically specializes in action movies, that might be what you want for like some of the more comedic fight scenes. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
It would be interesting to see. I don't even know what Brett Ratner is up to these days. I don't necessarily need him to come back for a fourth one. I kind of would like to see somebody else's vision for Rush Hour after we had gotten 3 movies from him. I mean, look, he's been sitting on the sidelines for like 15 years when it comes to not having written a Rush Hour movie. Maybe after 15 years, if he were to come back, maybe you would have a fresh new look on the franchise, but who certainly knows.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Do you want to Rush Hour 4? Do you think it's not really needed? Go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. All right. And with that out of the way, Stuart, one last topic for you guys as we head towards the holiday season. We actually are less than a week away from the premiere of Avatar: The Way of Water, the sequel to the first Avatar movie from years ago. I'm really pumped to go ahead and see this film. I have not gotten my tickets yet. The girlfriend's father actually wants to come with us. He's a big Avatar fan. We had mentioned the idea of trying to see the film, and he went ahead and is trying to invite himself along to see if he can come with us. So I think we're going to have like a, father, daughter, future son-in-law kind of outing for this particular film. And so while I'm personally really excited for The Way of Water, this past week, we've got James Cameron, who's thinking ahead and talking about the future sequels to Avatar, specifically Avatar 4 here, when it comes to the script and just how apparently bananas it pretty much is, Stuart. So let's dive into this and see what James Gunn is actually teasing us about. We haven't even seen the second one yet, but Homeboy is talking highly about the fourth film in this franchise. This is from Collider.com, saying James Cameron says Avatar 4 goes nuts, and studio executives said, "Holy F," after reading the script. He says, so yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Is James Cameron is a director who knows how to do sequels right. Cameron has directed some of the best sequels ever made, sequels that many would say surpass the original film, like 1986's Aliens, 91's Terminator 2, and Cameron is back for a sequel for the first time in 31 years with Avatar: The Way of Water, the sequel to the 2019 blockbuster Avatar. It says, but The Way of Water is just the beginning of Cameron's planned sequels, with a third film coming in 2024, followed by a fourth in 2026. So it looks like Collider's Perry Nemiroff got the opportunity to sit down with him and talk about it a little bit. He says, my model was what Peter Jackson did with the Lord of the Rings bet in the time. And really hats off to that they took the chance to launch on all three of these films. But he had the books mapped out, so he could always show the actors what they needed to know about their character arcs. So I felt I had to do the same thing. I had to play this as if the book already that write all scripts and let the actors read all the scripts and see where their characters were going and what it all meant. Not that that's actable in the moment, but I think it's something that the actors could work into their preparation for their actors. Before we move on, Stuart, I think that's brilliant personally. I think that's just very forward thinking of James Cameron to go ahead and certainly think outside the box in that sense of making that connect Lord of the Rings and seeing how Peter Jackson did it to his benefit, and James, yeah, I gotta do this same exact thing. When you hear him talk about how he's planned this out, what are your thoughts?
I absolutely love the fact that, okay, so James Cameron, a lot of times he can kind of come off as very smug, like just the way he kind of presents himself in his interviews. And I'm not saying that
Oh, absolutely.
in a way, like I get it though, because yes, you have made some really big hit movies, so it makes sense that you would build kind of an ego like with that over time. But hearing this side of him, like the part that, I guess you could say involves a little humility, the fact that he's taking notes from other directors who have done similar things like this in the past, that I actually really like to hear about. Especially borrowing from people like Peter Jackson and seeing the steps he took with the Lord of the Rings franchise. That I actually think is really cool. Did I freeze up?
Okay, there we go. No, you're good.
Cool.
You're good. I'm sorry. Mine certainly did. All right, so let's go ahead and continue this. It says The Way of Water screenplay is written by Cameron, Rick Jaffa, and Amanda Silver, who also wrote Jurassic World, the recent Planet of the Apes trilogy, and the upcoming Kingdom Apes. They all have story credits as well. The sequels were also filmed in New Zealand. Cameron also talked about the difficulties of filming multiple sequels at the same time. He says, so they knew, okay, we're going to come in and film this in bite-sized chunks, not necessarily in sequence. We're going to be shooting parts of 2, parts of 3, parts of 4 on any given day. That's a challenge, but it's no different a challenge than, let's say, it's a series home set that's going to be seen across 6 hours. It's no different. I'm not saying that there's anything unique about this, but I felt that it was the right way to approach it with the actors and also to let them see where it's all going so they properly motivated and enthused, because the story's a corker, is what he says. By the time we get to 4 and 5, if we're so lucky, knock on wood, to get that far, which is obviously driven by market forces, we want to be successful. So I think that's a pretty uh, interesting way for them to go ahead and tackle this film. Also, I mean, things like movies, I don't think are ever filmed in sequence. Like if it's just one movie, I think they jump back and forth to different sequences in the film itself. But to literally have to film sequences from 3 other movies that you don't even, well, I guess I was going to say technically they have had the opportunity to see the script. I just find that so fascinating. It's such a unique way of directing and putting films together. I guess when you're trying to projects at once, this might have been the best route for him to certainly go. Is that sort of what?
Yeah. I mean, I think in general, this was like something I remember learning about back when, I was in film school. Or not film school, but when I took film classes, I should say. One of the big things is like when you have a set ready to go. And so I'm imagining this exact rule, but like here you're doing it on like $1 billion scale, whereas we're doing it on like a $30 budget, but it's kind of the same. I imagine the same principles basically. When you have a whole thing set up, and if you have multiple scenes that are going to take place in that setup, whether or not it's in order, you still want to get all those scenes taken, done and out of the way before you move on to the next set. That way, in case there's just because rebuilding the set, you may accidentally create like a continuity error of some sort. Like maybe you have a half empty bottle when you first made the set, but then when you make it again, that bottle is full or it's empty, things like that. So that's like one of the big things is you want to get all of it done while the set's ready to go. So I imagine if you're doing it like, a movie like Avatar, which is building huge, $1 million sets, both green screen and, some practical ones, and not to mention using the LED screens as well. I think they're using the LED screens for this movie. Yeah, I think it's a smart idea if you're, pretty confident, which I think he has every right to be confident that this movie is going to be a success. It's a smart idea to plan ahead, especially when you have the time and the opportunity to do so. I think that's a very wise move on his part. But I do hope though that there isn't because for his sake at least, that there isn't like any we shot the scene because we were planning on this happening in the sequel, but suddenly we decided we're going to take the movie into the new direction. So I think that could be the one issue that they may run into, is then they could end up with a lot of footage that they spend a lot of money to film, and then that footage ends up being useless because James Cameron may have changed his mind later on down the line. So hopefully he's smart and he doesn't do anything like that. But other than that, yeah, I think it's a very smart idea to plan ahead this way.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed in how he decided to go ahead and plan for this movie. It just seems really well thought out. And I think it definitely probably has helped the actors tremendously also. There's something really cool about the idea of getting the opportunity to read 3 scripts for a film to really see your majority of it, because I do think he has plans on maybe trying to do a 5 and 6, but again, like you said, it really comes down to the market if they'll even allow that. But I do feel 2, 3, and 4 will certainly get regardless. But I just think it's the idea of, if anything, I think this will allow for the actors to give some performances, because they have seen how this whole entire has in fact kind of played out. Discussing the idea about Avatar from Corker, he says, I can't tell you the details, but all I can say is that when I turned in the script for 2, the studio gave me 3 pages of notes. When I see, look at that. Even James Cameron is open to studio giving him notes, guys. Come on, guys. And this guy's cocky as F. And then he says, when I turned in a script for 3, they gave me a page of notes. So I was getting better. When I turned in the script for 4, the studio executive, creative executive over the films wrote me in an email that said, "Holy F." And I said, "Well, where are the notes?" And she said, "Those are the notes." I said, because it's kind of goes nuts in a good way, right? So he definitely talks about, he also said of Avatar 4, you think you know what it's about, and then, oh no, you don't. and that I hope I get to make that film is what I'm saying. If Cameron's other successes are any indications, there shouldn't be any issues with the people wanting more of what Cameron is making. So hopefully we'll get to see this apparently wild fourth installment. That that does make me laugh a little bit. But yeah, see, everybody takes notes. Even one of the director that has like the biggest grossing movie of all time, maybe like 2 in the top 3, is flexible enough to take notes, as any filmmaker should certainly be, right, Stuart?
Yeah, definitely. No, that
But what
to
do you
me
think
is just
about what he says?
I was just gonna say, like, that to me is just so funny because James Cameron kind of has a reputation that he himself even kind of like won't try to hide the fact that he's very stubborn about his script. So yeah, that's like funny to me. But yeah, overall, like, I do hope we eventually get to see what this oh fuck moment is in Avatar 4. And I'm very curious if we're going to remember that this movie is going to have an oh fuck moment by the time we get to it. Because, looking at how long it's taken for Avatar 2 to come out, I'm sure 3 isn't going to take that long, but it's still going to be another like 2 or 3 years realistically, and then another 2 or 3 years after that before we get Avatar 4. So my question is, am I going to remember by the time we get to that movie that James Cameron warned us about this moment, or is it going to completely, are we both going to completely forget about it by that time?
Yeah, I think they said Avatar 3 in 24 and Avatar 4 in 2026. So we should be getting them within the 2-year gap. And I think the plan originally was to give us that gap because of like Star Wars movies, like a Star Wars movie, Avatar movie, Star Wars movie, Avatar movie, Star Wars, Avatar, so that Disney can like capture the holiday season. You know what I mean? But clearly
That
that's
actually would have
not
been
going to
really
work out.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too. But I'm pumped, man. Do you have your ticket for Avatar? Well, I guess you don't need one, huh? I guess you could just go in and see it whenever you want to.
Yeah, I'll just do the staff screenings that we usually do before the movie.
Nice. I'm so jealous. I've always wanted to work at a movie theater, man. I'm so jealous of you. But yeah, guys, let us
If you ever do,
let us
Alamo
know your
Draft House,
thoughts.
man.
Yeah, I do love that theater. I do love that theater. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts on Avatar 4. We're still quite some ways away, but have you gotten your Way of the Water tickets yet? Let me know if you're excited for this film and when you're getting an opportunity to see the Avatar sequel. And I do think I'm going to check this out in 3D, man. I think I'm definitely going to check it out in
Nice.
3D. We'll see. I don't think the girlfriend is really pleased about the idea of 3D, but I feel like it's the only way to truly see this movie. But if they don't want to see it in 3D, I'll probably go see it on 3D on my own. But yeah, how are you going to see it?
Probably regular because technically we do 3D if we need to, but I can't remember the last time we played a 3D movie at our theater, so probably regular.
Yeah, man. Yeah, do you guys even have like the technology for that shit anymore?
I think so, yeah, because it's literally just like one extra lens that you kind of like slide in front of it. So I feel like it's not that hard to like kind of install.
Oh, the theater secret by Stuart Branscombe.
Indeed.
Give me a second. I'm trying to pull up the YouTube page here. Did I freeze on you guys?
No, we can still see you.
No, still here. Okay.
Or at least I can. Yeah, you're still here.
Yeah, give me a second. I'm trying to load up. Go ahead.
I'm assuming from like your response times that there's probably like a second
It's
or
a
two
lag.
of lag between us. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll finish talking and I'll just sit here and I'm like waiting for Stuart to start talking. Like, did he hear me? And then you start talking. I'm like, okay, yeah, there is definitely a lag for sure.
Okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense.
So we're going to go to next. As you guys know, I want to see if can we pull this off. Stuart, what time is it, sir?
It is 8:11.
No, I meant. Do you know what time it is?
Oh wow. I'm sorry.
It's time.
It is time for live viewer questions. Oh man, I screwed that one up. My bad.
This is This is what the 8 o'clock show is like, just unpreparedness. You would think we have like all day to get ready for this show, but this is a rough show today, guys. I apologize, man. I'm just not on my P's and Q's today. All right, let me see if I can pull up these questions here. Take us over to our channel. And it's crazy. Like I have my my Ethernet cable in. I've got like no other tabs open. It's just a rough day today, man. My internet's like, Adam, what the hell are you doing? It's not Sunday morning. Here we go.
Like, what are you doing? I'm not supposed to be working this late. God.
Yeah. It's probably pissed off at me. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. So, guys, if you want to go ahead and submit your live viewer questions at any particular point in time, usually Wednesday or any day after Wednesday, we'll certainly go ahead and put up a live viewer question post. Just go over to our main YouTube page, as you see here, click on that community tab. And lo and behold, there will be a live viewer question post for you guys, as you see here, and then you can go ahead and submit your questions. We got a shit ton of questions today, 32 questions. Holy crap!
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, let's let me sort this out properly. Yeah, it's just my internet is super lagging, or it's just my computer is just terribly lagging. One or the other. Is this the end? I guess that's the end of it. Okay. All right, Jessica Friedman, you're up to bat. What did you enjoy about the series finale of Stargirl? Would you like to see her and JSA return in an episode of Superman and Lois? What did you think of the finale, Stuart?
I thought it was a great finale. I feel like for the previous episode, the big reveal about who the killer was, and like I don't want to spoil it because you haven't seen it yet, but basically there's this big reveal, and it took me a minute to really kind of let that sink in, because there was a brief moment where I'm kind of like, does this make sense? And I had to go back and rewatch a few episodes to see if they were really hinting at it. And honestly, yeah, I think like in retrospect, it was a really cool twist. And I think the way they continued it and paid it off in the series or season finale, however you want to say it, I think it was really great. And I really like that epilogue bit at the very end, how it wraps everything up, but kind of like leaves the door open, saying, hey, you know, it is a possibility she could return for more adventures in the future. And yeah, if it were to be in an episode of Superman and Lois, I think that would be a lot of fun. I would love to see her and the JSA interact, you know, with Jonathan and Jordan Kent. I would love to just see Jordan be able to see like other people like him, you know, other people with superpowers, other like young heroes as well. Him probably getting to learn how they're able to tackle school and saving the world at the same time, and probably being able to learn from them. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with you too. I think that'd be pretty awesome. Ram Jam. Hey, Adam Stewart. What are your thoughts on the third sequel of Wonder Woman being canceled, and the rumored Michael Keaton Batman Beyond was in the works but was told to put a stop to the projects? So look, you know, am I bummed about the cancellation of Wonder Woman 3? Yeah, I am a little bit. I am bummed about it, just because I do like Gal Gadot in the role. I did like Patty Jenkins' vision of the character. I really wanted to go ahead and see how it was all going to wrap up, thinking that maybe we would get ourselves a Wonder Woman movie in modern time, and maybe we still will. You know what I mean? Maybe it just may not have Patty Jenkins there. It may not even be a Wonder Woman 3. It just may be a new reboot of a Wonder Woman saga, for all we know. So yeah, I am a little bit bummed, but I will say it doesn't surprise me. Especially, it didn't surprise me, Stuart, until I think it did surprise me at first. But when I heard that Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns were co-writing the script again, I was like, this makes perfect sense to me, bro. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And then yeah, for the Batman Beyond thing, it was like I was kind of bummed that it was canceled, but not super bummed because I didn't even know it was a project going on to begin with. So it would have probably my reaction would probably have been a lot different if like this project had been like announced pretty much.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I totally get you. Let's see here. We got Power Rangers Legacy. What do you think of the lost episode of Power Rangers Dino Thunder when Ethan and Kira witnessed a physical representation of the morphing grid where they saw a vision of the future Power Rangers, basically a sneak peek of SPD? The mini episode itself was aired on Disney's own live action network, Jetix, which had been replaced by Disney XD. To this day, I still find it one of the coolest things I've ever seen in Power Rangers. It's very rare that we never got something like this ever again for future later seasons. This way, pretty much pretty much way before we started getting the teaser trailers by Nickelodeon and now Hasbro. I know Super Sentai has been doing this every year where they give us a send-off with which the upcoming Red Ranger shakes hands to the outgoing Red Ranger, or even before that, the new team shows up in the finale of the current team. Do you wish we had still gotten this at the end of every season? Maybe we could get something like this in a Hasbro reboot universe if successful. I don't know if I ever saw the lost episode. Did you?
I never saw it, but I definitely know of it. I've seen like kind of the I've seen like a clip of it on YouTube somewhere. And yeah, I think it would have been kind of cool if more seasons did this. I'm not like
Yeah.
upset that we haven't gotten it, but I just think it's a concept that would have worked really well with Power Rangers, especially like I thought this would have been a brilliant idea with Beast Morphers, knowing that like Dino Fury was going to be the next season and how Beast Morphers had the Dino team up. I feel like that episode should have given us some small, like little tease of Dino Fury. I feel like that would have been smart.
That would have been pretty cool. I'm not opposed to Power Rangers having done what maybe Super Sentai would have done. I think that's actually pretty cool. It's one of the things that I kind of look forward to. I don't want to say the most in Super Sentai, but it's something that I really do look forward to, honestly. Not only seeing the passing of the torch, but maybe getting at least the Red Ranger to kind of pop up. And to me, it's all about connective tissues, and I've always been a big connective tissue world type of guy. I think that's why I enjoyed the original Saban era as much as I did, the Disney stuff. While I enjoyed certain individual seasons, I think I might have enjoyed the show more had I known if they were connected a little bit more, like one season leading into the next. I might have stuck around a lot longer than what I did. So that is one aspect I certainly would have liked to have seen handled. But I had never seen this lost episode, so I might have to try and find it for sure. I think it's a cool idea. Good old Jack Daniels. Not sure if this is true, but what do you think of the rumors that the MCU Daredevil series will have a similar tone to Deadpool movies? Do you like this? And could this allow for more bonkers storytelling, even making out of the most adultish MCU series? I can already imagine someone that Matt Murdock meets who is a huge a-hole, always causing trouble. It would be hilarious if the series itself was rated R so we can hear tons of cursing. Stuart, I have not heard this rumor. What I thought I read was a headline of Charlie Cox saying that Daredevil could fit into a Deadpool movie. I didn't hear the idea of a Daredevil series having a similar tone to a Deadpool movie, though. Is that something that you've heard? And if not, can you try and like just Google it for me? Maybe like Charlie Cox, Daredevil, Deadpool, and see like what stories might come up. That's not a rumor that I've heard. If it is a real rumor, if it's something that anybody's even thinking about, hell no.
Yeah.
No, don't. No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all. Daredevil to me is like just a completely different person. Not to say that he can't have any levity. I mean, we saw the lighter side of Charlie Cox or Matt Murdock and She-Hulk, which I thought was perfect, was a perfect amount of levity to the Daredevil character. You go outside of that and more than no, that's just way too over the top to me. So I do think Daredevil has its tone that it should certainly set for itself, and is definitely not that of Deadpool. Could Daredevil be in something Deadpool related? Sure, why not? I think he could probably fit in there. We clearly have seen the comedy chops of Charlie Cox. But to have a similar tone of Deadpool movies, no, that's just not even Daredevil anymore, if you ask me. But what do you think?
Yeah, I'm looking it up, and I'm not seeing anything at all about it, so I'm going to assume it's just a rumor. But yeah, I pretty much 100% agree with you. I do think levity works really well with the character of Daredevil. Like I loved him in She-Hulk. You know, when he was playing, you know, that same character, but in a much more like, you know, less of a dark kind of scenario, that kind of thing. But that being said, that's not really what I want to see in a Daredevil show. When it's a Daredevil show, I want to see, you know, shit hitting the fan. I want to see him push to his limits. I want him to, like, you know, contemplate whether or not, you know, he should stay a hero that doesn't kill people, or whether or not, you know, he should probably cross that line. You know, I want that to be a challenging decision for him, that kind of a thing. So, I hope it's not true. If this is something that the showrunners are considering, I hope they, you know, don't do it. I don't know. Yeah, I think I think it's a terrible idea.
So I did find an article. This is IGN from 2 days ago. Charlie Cox's upcoming Daredevil show might bear some resemblance to the wisecracking Ryan Reynolds Deadpool series. Again, this is IGN saying this. During a panel at the German Comic-Con, Cox spoke alongside co-star Eldon Henson about the upcoming MCU Daredevil Born Again, which will see Cox reprise his role. According to Cox, it's possible that Matt Murdock's masked vigilante may make an appearance in Deadpool 3. Because of the tone of our show, I think there's a place for Daredevil to show up in Deadpool, which would be really cool. He then added, great, now that's a news story. So yeah. It says, so not only does Cox's comments imply a Daredevil cameo in Daredevil 3, it also points towards the tone of Daredevil, again mirroring that of Deadpool. I didn't take it that way. I didn't take his comment that way.
No, I think it's just saying that, like, I don't know. I didn't take it that way either.
Yeah, I didn't take that comment that he said because of the tone of our show, right? Because of how our tone is, Daredevil to show up. There is a place for Daredevil to show up in Deadpool. Would be really cool. I mean, I don't see. I honestly don't see anything in that comment that says, "Hey, yeah, our tone is exactly like Deadpool." I think Deadpool can fit into a lot of different types of tones, but I don't like action. Deadpool kicks ass, right? I mean, I don't see how people take that out of that comment personally. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see how someone would think that's what he meant, but I personally don't. I
I didn't
think,
read into that.
yeah, exactly.
And not to say that you did, Jack Daniels, but you did bring up the idea that you had heard that there was certainly a rumor. And so, yeah, I hope that's not the case ever. Marcelino Vasquez. Whenever there is a movie or TV show that you don't like, do you usually go to YouTube to watch people's rewrites on the film or TV show? No, I don't. Do you?
No, I usually just come up with my own rewrite. Although if it's a YouTuber that I'm already watching and then they have their rewrite videos up there, I'll usually watch it just because of the YouTuber, not because of the thing that they're rewriting.
I get you. That makes sense. Jericho Gonzalez, we know that both seasons of Ninja Steel were really bad series, so this is how I would fix it. This topic was brought up a few times on here. My idea was to scrap everything and make it an homage to Ninja Storm. Ninja Storm was a season where all the ninja students except 3 were captured, whereas Ninja Steel should have been about everyday Ninja Academy life instead of another high school season that really that didn't really do anything. I kind of dig that idea. Actually, a Ninja Academy life. I dig that. Instead, you make Ninja Steel a separate school, and then you can reference the Wind and Thunder Academies, and even have the door open for those Rangers to guest star. If they were going to redo the school setting so soon, it should have a twist on it. They could have had a fusion of Harry Potter meets Naruto, but they went the generic route. In the Sentai source material in Ninja, we had a team up with the past Red Ninja Rangers. So we had Red Wind and Red Alien Ranger. Although Red Alien Ranger was ninja themed, you could still bring back Aruko in his Ranger suit. Shane's actor was still alive during Ninja Steel's production, so it would have been great to see Shane again, since he, along with Tori and Dustin, were senseis since their finale. I still can't get over that the Rangers' main hideout was a garage at their high school. I mean, do they not care that anyone could walk in and find out they're Power Rangers? Do you like my take and wish Ninja Steel was a lot better? Yeah, I dig your take, Jericho. I personally do. What do you think, Stuart?
I also really dig your take, and I think
You
it's a
do?
lot better than what we got. But I'll also be fair and say that you could have almost pitched anything, and I would have thought it was better.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. I think next up is Kurt. How excited are you for part one of Across the Spider Verse, which is the sequel to Into the Spider Verse? And any theories you would love to see? Well, my theory is all I've already said my theory a few times. It's not necessarily just going to be in part one, but I do think that this is all a build up to bringing us a live action Miles Morales. I do wonder if he eventually gets, like, if one of these verses is in fact the live action universe of Sony or whatever the case may be. So I do think that that's what it's certainly all leading up to, but I don't really have any theories, at least for part one, but I'm super pumped for it. As you guys will eventually see, me and Stuart definitely have a top 5 most anticipated movies list for 2023 headed your guys' way. And this movie, I don't know, might find its way on our list. You'll have to see. But we'll definitely drop it this week for you guys. But I'm pumped for it. What about you, Stuart?
Oh yeah, really looking forward to it, and you will hear some more of my thoughts because I think I gave it an honorable mention. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know if I have any theories as to what we might expect yet. I do think maybe not for this first part, but for the second part, I'm definitely expecting like a really, really wide, like think Avengers Endgame style, like team
Mm,
up kind of a thing, but all different versions of Spider-Man. Ooh! I just thought of
what you
another
got?
Spider-Man that I kind of hope is in here. I hope we get a Doc Ock Spider-Man because that the storyline
Oh,
where Doc Ock
Superior?
like basically took over his mind. Yeah, that's what it was.
Superior
Superior
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Cool. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. I'd be down for that. Let's see here. We got Morgan. DC's future and what remains. What do you think of Wonder Woman 3 being canceled? And do you think it has to do with the ongoing Warner Brothers merger and now the new ownership of DC Studios by James Gunn and the other gentlemen? Would this indicate that DC as a whole was being reinvented by getting rid of films that have already been set in stone, like the highly anticipated Flash movie and Blue Beetle? I'm unsure if films like Matt Reeves' The Batman will still have a potential sequel. I heard from some YouTube podcast channels that because the film was completely separate from the outgoing DC films, it is secure for anything else in the future. Yeah, one of the things, I think there are a couple films that are not being touched by James Gunn. I believe that's the world of Matt Reeves and his Batman, and I believe it's the Joker movies also. I think outside of that, everything else is probably fair game, but I do think the Joker stuff and the Batman stuff is not being touched. If you heard differently, Stuart, please let me know. But do you think this would indicate that the DC as a whole is being reinvented by getting rid of films that have already been set in stone? So, like the Flash and Blue Beetle movie, I'm still expecting those movies to drop. I don't think that
Mhm.
they're going to be canceled whatsoever. So I think the slate of movies for the most part that we have in 2023 are set to go. So that's Shazam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman. I think those movies are in fact set. What comes after that, though, I do think is a reinvention of sorts, personally. But what do you think?
Yeah, pretty much agree. I think that everything that's already kind of slated for next year is set in stone, and then same with Matt Reeves and Todd Phillips. Batman and Joker movies. I don't think we're going to see too many changes with those going forward. Although part of me does kind of hope that if it's true, and this is all like if everything in the article is to be taken 100% true, and therefore James Gunn is fully rebooting the universe, I kind of hope that instead of just rebooting it, let's just continue with that Batman universe. Let's just build the DCEU from the Matt Reeves
From the
Batman
Batman.
universe. That's what I would personally do if I was tasked with fully rebooting the universe. But that's just me. Yeah.
I would just say I don't want to be in James Gunn's shoes at all. Like I just feel like this is just you're just asking these two to just do so much. All right. Because, like, not only are you saying, hey, can you reinvent the wheel for us here and how we're going to do it at the DCU? But then you're saying, oh, by the way, you think you can connect it to television and video games too? Like, that would be really great, guys. Like, damn, how much work you want me to do here? Like, God, I don't want to be in their shoes at all. I just feel like that's just such a huge burden to have to take care of. But hey, listen, if there's anybody, one of the things that we said, right, Stuart, or at least we've said around here a long time, like, if you're going to bring anybody in, the idea of bringing James Gunn in, I think, is brilliant just because of the experience that this man has when it comes to his Guardians of the Galaxy stuff for the MCU, being attached to Kevin Feige, understanding the big, how to put together big connective cinematic universes. And you've already had him working on DC, one of the few people that have been able to go back and forth and actually direct films for both big companies like that. And he's done it successfully so far with Peacemaker, along with the Suicide Squad. He's just a foundation of information and knowledge that you need to keep him around. And so the fact that they gave him this particular position, I think is brilliant. I think it's a really strong idea. And if there's anybody I trust outside of Kevin Feige to certainly do something like this, I think James Gunn has got the right sort of mentality to know how to handle this and really right the ship a little bit. Again, it's going to be painful and it's going to be messy for not only us as fans, but a lot of creatives that work for Warner Brothers Discovery and on pins and needles. But I do think once the plan is revealed and we see how the Flash movie really might alter what the future holds, then I do think that people will get back on board with it and we'll have ourselves a fresh slate. Like for me, the thing, Stuart, that I have the issue with of how do you handle is, okay, so you keep the Matt Reeves Batman if that's an option. So what happens with Ben Affleck's Batman? Do you keep him around? And if you're not going to keep him around, do you keep Gal Gadot around? Do you bring Henry Cavill back? Okay, so if you bring Henry Cavill back and Gal Gadot back and Jason Momoa back as Aquaman, do you bring back Ben Affleck? Do you not bring Ben Affleck? Like, how do you navigate all that and not redo the whole Snyderverse sort of mentality aspect? So I do think it's a lot of moving pieces, and I just think time will tell. But I do think we'll eventually come around and be pretty satisfied with what they have planned for us.
Yeah. I think
Let's see,
that no matter what happens, not everyone's going to be satisfied.
and that's what
Yeah.
James Gunn said, right? Is like not everybody's
Exactly.
going to be happy, but I appreciate him being man enough to tell me that fact and not sugarcoat it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
So I
sure.
appreciate that. Let's see here. Roberto, Rita Repulsa became sorceress of good magic years after in space. In Power Rangers Mystic Force, 2 episodes before the season finale, we learned that the Mystic Mother was basically Rita Repulsa from MMPR, who went from being an evil sorceress to now protector of all things good magic. This was due to Super Sentai Magi Ranger bringing back the same on-screen actress who played Rita in the Japanese footage of MMPR, playing as a different character. And we know that in Power Rangers, Rita and Zed were turned human at the end of In Space due to Zordon's sacrifice. Anyways, Mystic Force used the Japanese footage of Mystic Mother as a tribute to the actress who had passed away while Mystic Force was filming. This implied that Rita's magic powers have resurfaced years after In Space, but no longer filled with darkness. Udana had been alive for many centuries before the events of Mystic Force. So this would mean that she encountered Rita before she was imprisoned in her dumpster. And then once again, after she and Zed had turned human. This also means that Udana had learned about the existence of Power Rangers from Rita. My main question is, if Power Rangers as we know it were to continue, if Hasbro's reboot does not do so well in the future, How cool would it be to see Carla Perez reprise her role as Rita Repulsa in all new footage? Considering magic can do many things, Rita herself can easily make herself young again in order for Carla Perez to return. I think it would be even cooler, Stuart, if Carla Perez really did return, and we'll see her maybe in the MMPR reunion special or even Cosmic Fury, since Zed is going to be popping back up there. How cool would it be if it's like, hey, we need somebody to help us fight against Zed, and maybe they go get Carla Perez to reprise a role as a good Rita to help with good magic to help Zed out?
Dude, I think what's so funny is that in my head, I think I know how Zed is going to be returning in Cosmic Fury. I totally just realized, yeah, there's a good Zed and a good Rita still like in that universe. Maybe before Zed was defeated, he found a way to turn that side of both him and Zed back into villains. So that's a way they could
Mm,
easily have both of them return, but as villains from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like, yeah.
that would be
So,
pretty cool, man.
so she could be
Um,
both like an ally or an
an
antagonist, you know?
enemy.
I feel like there's a lot of flexibility there if they choose to take advantage of that.
But that's clearly just speculation on our behalf, due
Oh,
to
yeah.
this great idea from Roberto Bueno. But I would be all for it. I definitely wouldn't mind her having reprised the role, as long as it makes sense for her to certainly return. Then give it to me. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the reboot does not fail, though, so we don't go backwards, if anything. But worst case scenario, I would be open to that idea for Carla Perez return.
Same. And I think it could still be a possibility, even if the reboot isn't a failure. Like, I mean, the Power Rangers multiverse is still out there. There's no reason you can't bring in characters from the original timeline into this reboot universe, as
Yeah,
long as it
yeah, and
works with the story.
yeah, and I am kind of curious if they are going to tap into that aspect of a multiverse even in the reboots. Because I think if they do establish a multiverse, then I do think anything's possible at that point. Jackson Peterson, since you guys had such a blast with my question last week, I thought I'd do a similar one. What are you guys most excited about for Power Rangers Super Mega Force in the legendary battle? What do you hope to see and happens that will make it one of the best, or if not the best, team up in the franchise and anniversary crossover since Forever Red? And would you like it to lead into whatever season we get after? So, Stuart, what are you most excited about when it comes to Super Mega Force and the legendary battle, bro? They're gonna be doing Gokaiger for this season. Can you believe it? What are your thoughts? What are you most excited about?
I'm really excited to see all these characters we know and love returning. I'm really excited to catch up with them, see what they've really been up to. I also, there's some behind the scenes photos that we've seen that really get me hyped, that make me think that this isn't just going to be a one-off cameo. I mean, we get some cool set photos of Tommy and Mike interacting. Tommy apparently lending Mike the shield. So I'm really curious what the context is and how the story is going to play into that. And I'm very curious on, like, they really built this up. So there's no way they would try to build this up for like 2 seasons just to have these be glorified cameos. So I'm really curious to see how big of a role each of these actors play and if any of them get an arc or anything like that. And what about the Sentai Rangers? Because they're going to be using Sentai footage. So
Mm.
of course the Sentai exclusive Rangers. I really hope this means they add some more lore to the Power Rangers universe that we as the audience haven't seen. Like, there's no way they would just put in Sentai suits in the Mega Battle because they're too lazy to edit it out. I think if they're doing that, it's got to be there for a purpose, and they're going to be using it to build more lore into the show. So there's a lot to look forward to about this.
Bro, I could not agree with you more. Like, if anything, when it comes to Power Rangers, I can't believe that they will not explain something to us. You know what I mean? Like, they gotta explain where these other Super Sentai suits certainly come from. So I'm really excited to kind of just see the bigger lore, as you mentioned. And I mean, look, with the legendary battle coming up, absolutely, with everything that we've seen, this has got, dude, I'm telling you, this is gonna be like an hour-long episode. At least an hour-long episode, maybe a two-parter if we're lucky. There's no way you bring all these people back for literally a 5-minute cameo. There's no way it's going to happen, Stuart. So jot this down as like one of the better crossovers you're ever certainly going to get. I don't know what else we could certainly ask for, man, aside from Hasbro maybe pay some of these people more money so we could have gotten some more cast members. But overall, the cast members they got, this is going to be huge. You hear me? Huge, Stuart. I'm pumped for it.
Yep.
My
Very
God.
much looking forward
Just
to seeing
it's
the
just,
wise words and the bits of wisdom that they pass to this younger generation of Power Rangers.
absolutely. And the idea of them like doing Gokaiger in the first place, I mean, a brilliant move. Brilliant move. Everybody loves pirates. I am expecting hopefully a Red Ranger with some swag and personality like Captain Marvelous. There's no way that you have a boring pirate leader in this show. So yeah, man, I'm super pumped for Super Mega Force also. God. It's just, in hindsight, looking at this, it's just like, God. Thanks a lot, Saban. Appreciate it.
I'm so glad I never saw those behind the scenes photos before the legendary battle came out, because like that
Oh,
would have
you
just
didn't?
made it. No, I
Oh,
never did. So
oh.
like I wasn't like one of the people disappointed like that we never got to see Mike with the shield, because I didn't even know about it. But
We
like
must not have
seeing
been
it, I'm
friends.
just kind of like, huh.
We must not have been friends or like talking or watching each other's content at that time, because I remember talking about it and getting all hyped about it and stuff. Oh my God. It was
Yeah.
brutal. It's brutal.
No, I was because wait, the Mega Battle was like 2013, right?
I don't remember. I lost count.
Because like I think I was still in high school when that was coming out, and that's like the time period where you really don't want other people around you to know that you're keeping up with Power Rangers. So I think that was like me. It's like I kind of knew there was like that big mega battle coming up, but I wasn't like keeping up with Mega Force or anything. I was just kind of planning to watch it like once it aired, pretty much.
Yeah, I was like, man, they're probably going to have a ton of original footage in this. Mike's going to be rocking a shield at some point. Why else would JDF give him the shield and put like he's passing down the torch? We're going to see some epic shit in it, man. Anyway, it just makes me sad. It just makes me sad going over all this shit now.
Yeah.
Doomsday says, how do you think the whole Spider-Verse would end up being like if all three roles were switched up? Like if Andrew Garfield was cast as the original Spider-Man, Tom Holland cast as the Amazing Spider-Man, and Tobey Maguire cast as the MCU Spider-Man. Ooh, you know what? I would say Tom Holland's would probably be the more successful one, which would be crazy to me. I think Tom Holland could pull off the Amazing Spider-Man.
I think he could too. It's It would be a very different movie, because I feel like all the different Spider-Man play to all the actors, strengths. So like I feel like if the actors were all switched up, the characters would feel so different, and
So
therefore
different.
you'd have a very different movie.
I'm trying to think of Andrew Garfield playing a Tobey Maguire acted Spider-Man. Like just the script that Sam Raimi had. I'm trying to think of, like, I think Andrew Garfield is a great actor. I do think that he certainly has got some range, but damn, would it be different? Unless it's just the idea of like, are we taking Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker and putting him in the first movie? Because I'm thinking of the actors sort of like, well, I don't know. I still think Tom Holland would probably be the better of the three. Tobey Maguire second, and then maybe Andrew Garfield. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Tom Holland would do the best in Tobey Maguire's role. Tobey Maguire would be like, or actually, wait, was it so Andrew?
Tom
Oh
Holland
yeah,
would be in
sorry,
Andrew
Andrew would have
Garfield's role.
been. That's right. So Tom Holland. I feel like Tom Holland wouldn't have worked too well in Amazing Spider-Man. Now that I'm thinking about it, nah, because the way they play their Peter Parkers is very, very different. The type of high school that they go to is very, very different. I don't know how Tom Holland would have, how his chemistry would have been with Gwen Stacy in particular. I feel like she and Andrew had a natural chemistry. I don't think it would have felt as natural with Tom Holland. And yeah, I feel like Tobey would have worked pretty well in the MCU personally. I don't know about Andrew Garfield in the MCU though.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm just thinking of like old Tobey Maguire in high school. like replacing Tom Holland. That's hard to wrap my head around. But yeah, I do think Tobey Maguire would have fit pretty well in the MCU. Chris Crossman, what do you think of the release date of the premiere of the ninth and final season of The Flash? How many episodes do you remember it was announced to have? And please pick 5 good guys and bad guys you like to appear throughout the final season. Jesus. Um, did they give us a release date for The Flash?
I think they said it was February something.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. I think I remember hearing February something. I don't remember how many episodes were announced. If you can look that up for us, Stuart, real quick.
I
5 good.
believe it was 13, if I remember
Ooh, I
correctly.
like that number. I like that number.
Yeah.
13 or 15, I'm cool with.
Okay, yeah, so it is February 8th. Ooh, it's so close now.
Yeah, so close. I'm really pumped for this. Um, 5 good guys or bad guys I'd like to appear. Um,
Um, I definitely would really like to see because I don't think she's been in the Flash yet, but I would love to see Dreamer because I feel like she would fit in really well
oh,
with the Flash characters. I know we're already getting her, but I'm still gonna say Batwoman anyways because again, I kind of liked her for the brief moment that we got her with the in I think it was Armageddon Part 4. It was kind of interesting, like that. Apparently, her and Iris had like a really strong friendship in the future, so I would love to see those seeds be planted in this season.
mm,
Of course, Supergirl, very unlikely to happen, but I would really love to see Supergirl, make one last like hello everyone, like one last appearance. See, obviously, I really want Stephen Amell to return, either as Arrow or as Spectre. Either way, I'm totally cool with. And number 5, of course, I really want Cisco to return because I love Cisco, and he needs to have one last hurrah
yeah.
with the Flash family. And then 2 honorable mentions: Wally West and Mia, the Queen.
Give me Jesse quick. I want to see Jesse back. Unless
Ooh,
something
good
happened to
one.
Jesse, I'm not sure of in the series herself. As far as the villains go, this might be a little bit boring, but give me the rogues. Give me
Yeah.
Captain Cold, give me Heat Wave, Mirror Master, Trickster in there, maybe. I'll take those 5. Honestly, I want to go back to just the basics of one of his his biggest rogues gallery, and I think that's the rogues group. So give me that, and if I had her, Zoom, I don't know how Zoom would play a part, but give me Zoom. I take him.
Definitely give me Zoom.
Um,
Really want Captain Cold to return. And I mean like kind of season 1
I
and
definitely
2
want
Captain
Captain Cold
Cold.
to
So
return.
before he became good. I'm always down for another Gorilla Grodd appearance.
Okay.
Malcolm Merlin we haven't seen in hella long, and I would love to see Malcolm
Ooh.
Merlin return one last time.
Was he even in the
Um,
Flash?
I Has he? I'm not sure if he ever has. I feel like he,
But that would be pretty
if he
cool.
hasn't been in the Flash, I think this might be the season to bring him in just for one episode. I think he would have great chemistry with Barry Allen. And fifth villain. Oh, right. Even though he hasn't been in the Flash yet, I want to see Cobalt Blue. I want to see him as maybe like the
Ooh,
final villain of the show.
I like that. I like that. Good choices. Carlo Bernardo. With Cosmic Fury and the reunion special coming next year, we have no idea what's next for Simon Bennett. I absolutely love for him to work alongside Hasbro when it comes to Jonathan Entwistle reboot. Simon clearly knows what he's doing with Power Rangers thanks to Dino Fury, and it just feels right to bring in someone who's already familiar with the brand. Considering kids programming is one of the things that Hasbro has plans on doing with the reboot, it would be really great for Simon Bennett to be in charge among those lines. Kids programming to me can either be a show for the reboot universe or even the established franchise we already have. I just feel like having a brand new rebooted universe isn't the only answer because things can go wrong. So having Simon Bennett on board with Power Rangers after Cosmic Fury would be fantastic. No one knows as of yet what the future holds after 30th anniversary. So having Simon in with the reboot and even to continue the already established franchise would make longtime fans happy and feel like they're not losing their home. And Stuart, I've been singing Simon Bennett's high praises for years, for as long as I can remember. And one of the things that I have mentioned on several occasions is the involvement that I would like Simon Bennett to definitely have in the future of Power Rangers. All props and respect to Jonathan Entwistle and the world that he wants to establish. But I think when you're creating a bigger cinematic universe or overall picture, whether that be films, television series, animated series, kids programming. That's a lot for one man to have to tackle, certainly all on his own. And considering what Simon Bennett's been able to do with Power Rangers, from his directing work in Beast Morphers to becoming showrunner in Dino Fury, and really allowing the fans to get excited again for this franchise, like the excitement level for Beast Morphers and Dino Fury was like through the roof compared to a lot of the past seasons that we had previously gotten. So, like, for me, I kind of dig the idea of Simon Bennett continuing that. I just think he's just so valuable to the franchise. He knows how to build up excitement for the fans and has great just storytelling and directing purposes, to where it's like, look, if you need somebody to carry on the kids programming side of thing, Jonathan Entwistle, you got the man for the job right here in Simon Bennett. And I've said this before, like I'm kind of curious as to, is Simon Bennett even aware as to what's going on with Hasbro behind the scenes? Are they bringing him in? Are they letting him see storyboards? Has he talked to Jonathan Entwistle in any capacity about what he's creating? Or are they truly that separate? I would be a little bit disappointed if we never see Simon Bennett again after this 30th anniversary, because I just think when you have people that are that knowledgeable, have that type of experience, knows how to do kids programming for Power Rangers, I think you keep them attached, or at least keep them on board, even if he's not going to be a showrunner, maybe as a creative consultant, maybe as a director from time to time. But I really would like to see him continue to show run the kids programming. So, you're speaking to the choir here, Carlo, because I feel like over the past year or so, we've been very adamant and very outspoken about Simon Bennett staying on board with Power Rangers, even through the reboot series. I think he's just the man for the job when it comes to at least the kids programming side of things. So I think we've said that quite a few times, huh, Stuart?
Yeah, and I would hope that Hasbro at the very least would kind of keep him in on the loop. Like, I get that there's certain details they probably wouldn't be allowed to share with him. Like, I'm sure he probably doesn't know the exact details of what the plot of the upcoming Power Rangers reboot is going to be. But I would hope that with him working at Hasbro, they're at least kind of like letting him know, like, hey, currently we don't know what it is we're doing with the kids programming, but when we do, we'll keep you in on the loop, that kind of a thing. I would hope, anyways, because yeah, like you said, he's been doing such a good job so far. He's brought back a lot of hype that had been missing from Power Rangers the last several seasons. So I think if Hasbro is smart, they're going to want to, keep an expert on board going forward, so they can not only bring in new fans, but also find a way to keep the fans that have been with the show for so long and keep them, around.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So thank you for that, Carlo. I appreciate it. Carter Matthews, I'm not sure if you guys follow the series, but in the 7th season of The Flash, the original Earth One. Oh, you know what? Speaking of The Flash, I did want to highlight. Marcelino did say Malcolm Merlin did appear in The Flash, but it was in a crossover. So
Okay.
he has popped up in here before. And of course, my computer freezes on me. If you can take down that okay, I think I got it. Nah, I got it.
Cool.
So yeah, going back to Carter Matthews, I'm not sure if you guys follow the series, but in the 7th season of The Flash, the original Earth One Harrison Wells, who was killed by Reverse Flash and then took his body and memories, was resurrected and was given teleportation powers after absorbing the spirits and memories of all the past Wells. Did you like that the original Wells was pretty much retconned into the main timeline after Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, or do you think this basically ruined the very first season? Yeah, what do you think?
I wouldn't say it ruined the first season. I would just say it was a storyline that I thought was one of the many really bad written moments of season 7. Like,
Just
to
that
me,
breakdown for Carter, it sounds terrible.
yeah. Like, it honestly still to me makes absolutely no sense. Like, it sounds like he's in a time loop, but he's in a fully aware time loop where he himself still carries the knowledge of future events, but he's still reliving his life over and over, but he can get out of it anytime he wants to. I just think it's just really weird. And they should have just, if they wanted to bring back the original Earth One Harrison Wells for season 7, I feel like there were so many better ways they could have written him into it. I like that we finally got to actually meet him for the first time since, we never really got to know him in season 1 of The Flash. So that was kind of cool. I just think it could have been executed so much better, which is, I feel like I could say that with almost all of season 7 of The Flash. I feel like season 7 had some good ideas. And I feel like it definitely paved the way for a lot of things that worked really well with season 8. but wow, the execution of a lot of things in season 7, and maybe COVID related, I don't know, but yeah,
Was
season
that the
7 of
first
Flash.
season with Eric Wallace as the show?
Season 6 was the first season with Eric Wallace as the showrunner,
Oh, okay.
but
And
yeah.
that was the who was the villain in season 6? Was that the guy with the lightning bolt?
Oh no, that was season 5. That was still when Todd was
Oh, okay.
showrunner.
Oh, okay.
Season 6 had Mirror Master and then Bloodwork as the main
Oh, as
villains.
the main villains. Okay, gotcha. Nicole Robertson, with the release date of the Flash movie revealed this past week, do you think Warner Brothers has done some editing and reshoots for the ending where something happens to Barry because of the behind the scenes legal actions by Ezra Miller, giving us a new face for the character? Plus, could this movie be a hit? And if it doesn't get canceled throughout the upcoming months? So, right off the bat, I'm going to say this movie is going to be a hit.
Mhm.
I feel like everything that people have been saying that have seen the movie talk really highly about it, which is why Warner Brothers is almost so determined to release this movie in the best possible way. So I do have a feeling that this movie certainly will be an exciting ride. It's certainly a hit, especially based off of the people that are involved in it behind the cameras, like Andy Muschietti. I think was it Christina Hodson, I believe, is the writer for this also. So I do think they've got some great people certainly writing it. Do you think Warner Brothers has done some editing and reshoots for the ending somewhere? Yeah, I do believe that they certainly have. They even mentioned cameos from Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, and Henry Cavill in there. So I'm sure that probably took place during the reshoots. And because the article that we had read earlier said that the Flash movie is not a lock yet, it's still an unlocked film, which means that if Warner Brothers needs to go back and make any significant changes to it, they certainly can. So they are not done editing and not done reshoots as of yet. But once they are, I'm sure we'll certainly let you know. But do you think they're going to end up changing out Barry Stewart?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so also. I think especially with everything that's going on right now in the DCU, like to change everything but keep Ezra Miller as the Flash at the end of that movie, I think would just be this is the most ridiculous thing ever. So yeah, I do think they have every intention of recasting him. I don't know that for sure, but I feel pretty confident that the route that they have to go, just because it's just too much. It's just too risky, I mean, this guy could literally single-handedly just destroy your franchise, which is terrible, which is one of the reasons why I think they're trying to keep him out of trouble right now.
Mhm.
Gabriel, misconception of Mary Jane Watson. He says, I grew up loving Spider-Man as a kid, and I used to watch the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies all the time. Now I'm older. I have seen a lot of hate on Mary Jane in the trilogy because how she treated Peter in the last 3 movies. I'm sure she was decent in the first one, but the writers in the later films, I think, made her unlikable. From what I researched online in the comics, Mary Jane was Peter's blind date, a party girl, and a love rival to Gwen. I have researched that Mary Jane has been developed over the years, and everybody believed that Mary Jane in the comics has the same personality as the same Raimi's Mary Jane. No, Mary Jane is Spider-Man's true love, and she loves both Peter Parker and Spider-Man at the same time. Sure, there were many times her and Peter had complications in their relationships, but that's just how relationships work in the comics. And I hope Hollywood would treat Mary Jane fair in future, whatever there's another adaptation of Spider-Man. So what do you think? Do you think Mary Jane is misunderstood? What do you think, Stuart? That's an interesting question.
Well, you got to realize Mary Jane was written in the early 2000s, where a lot of action movies are kind of guilty of this. If you're not the main character, you're most likely going to be used as a plot device. Yes, it does happen a lot more with women characters, but it does happen with side characters in general altogether. So Mary Jane was one of those. She was a character that herself wasn't really meant to actually have a character arc within the movies. She was meant to be there for a plot device for Peter Parker to evolve as a character. So I think she did that job well. But yeah, if I were to if they were to reboot Spider-Man again and reboot her character, yeah, I wouldn't want her to be written that way. I would want her to, because, you know, characters can be plot devices, but they can still have an arc too. So that would be like my thing, is I would want her to have an arc as well. I would want her to also have to change from the beginning to the end of the film. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good explanation. Her being used sort of as a plot device, because I felt like anytime she was, it was really just to kind of help Peter grow in some way, or like an obstacle for Peter to have to solve or something. Like it always felt like Peter would screw everything up and she'd be pissed at him for some reason, and then he's got to change his ways, or he's got to do things to prove his love to Mary Jane, sort of thing. So I wouldn't mind the idea of, like, if they ever did give us another reincarnation of Mary Jane from the comics, then maybe doing something a little bit different. I was never a really big fan of Kristen Dunst as Mary Jane, even though I did really enjoy her in the second one. I thought I thought she did pretty good in that, but I didn't really care too much for the character by the time we got to Spider-Man 3. So I thought, you know, she was all right in the first one. Her best performance, I think, was definitely the second, but I was never really a big fan of Kristen Dunst as Mary Jane in the first place.
Yeah, I just think, like, in general, Sam Raimi's weakness is definitely writing romance. I think when it
Romance.
comes to his films.
I can get that. Blossom, I know you said something about this before, but why did Turbo get so much hate? Personally, I didn't see a problem with it, let alone have the Blue Ranger be a child. I'm a sucker for kid heroes, you know, backlash or not, sort of paves the way for our Imaginatrix Rangers in a sense, like Justin, their kids. You know, I used to always think to myself, when I was a kid, man, wouldn't it be so cool if I could be a Power Ranger as a kid? And then I saw Justin as a Power Ranger, and I was just like, I fucking hate Power Ranger as a kid. And then I realized that's probably my projection of my jealousy that he got to be a Power Ranger kid, and I didn't. So I think that's might be where a lot of my own personal hate kind of comes from. I just never connected with the Justin character, honestly, regardless. But it was just weird to me that he was a kid and then he morphed into like a big dude. I was just like, he's just turned into a kid ranger. But I mean, hey, it's the morphing grid and it works in mysterious ways. But why do you think Turbo got so much hate, Stuart?
I don't know. I feel like they didn't really. I feel like the issue was that they didn't really have a specific direction for the first half of the season. It felt like they were just kind of writing as they were going until they switched out the team and like kind of wipe the slate clean like halfway through the season, you know what I mean? And that also might have been another reason people hated Turbo, the fact that like it just kind of like happened all out of nowhere. There, I mean, yeah, at least you had like a 2 or what was it, like a 2 or 3 parter when it happened. But you know, I imagine it had to be weird watching it as a kid. Like I myself didn't watch Turbo when it was new. I watched it years later, you know, on Netflix. But I imagine like if I'm a kid watching a show and we're still in, you know, the same season, but within that same season, suddenly, like with the exception of Justin, every character just decides to retire and we suddenly get like a whole new cast of characters that we're expected to like keep up with, and like how everyone kind of treats them as if they've been the main characters like this whole time. Like I think that's the weirdest part is how Bulk and Skull interact with them the exact same way they interacted with the original Rangers. Like things like that are just what must have been so weird. Like I can only imagine as a kid how confusing that would have been.
And I think too, I think that the tone change had a lot to do with it too. I just always felt Turbo was just so overly comedic. Um,
Mhm.
and I just don't think I was used to it. And I kind of missed the seriousness a little bit of it. I mean, I get the idea of like trying to adapt Car Ranger into Power Rangers, which was a comedy heavy series. But you know, I don't, you know, as a kid, I didn't mind laughing, but I just felt like, man, it's too ridiculous for me. Like even the villain, I just couldn't even take seriously half the time either. It was just like a walking joke.
Yeah. Let's face it, the villain
But
was there for the dads.
you might be right. You might be right. Marcelino says Justin was hated because he wasn't relatable. He was written as a know-it-all sometimes, even as a Gary Stu. I heard adult fans that they never relate to Justin because he was unrelatable. Man, I guess I just fit right into that series. I mean, and I wasn't an adult fan, but as a kid, even me as a kid, I just never cared for the character. I just never cared for the character. But
I don't know. It's
All
okay.
right.
So I
I
want to
think,
say
guys, I
this.
think that's probably. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
my bad.
No, go ahead.
I'll just say this, like in terms of okay, if I'm wrong about the definition of a Gary Stu, definitely let me know. But I'm assuming it's the male equivalent of a Mary Sue, and I kind of got to that. I just got to say, literally every main character in Power Rangers is kind of a Gary Stu or Mary Sue, because the whole point, especially in the Mighty Morphin era, is that these aren't supposed to be relatable teenagers. They're supposed to be teenagers that little kids watching the show can look up to and would want to aspire to be. That was like kind of the main thing I remember in an interview with Walter Jones when he was like talking about the 2017 reboot. He was like saying that, like, you know, not that he had anything against it, but like, yeah, the movie wanted to go for relatable teens instead of like, you know, what the real purpose of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was, which is not to be able to relate to them, but to want to look up to them and want to be like them when you grow up, you know?
Yeah, I get you. I mean, I remember even seeing like, they do like PSA commercials, or little things at the end of Power Rangers where they'd have like the actors come in and like kids, and the kids would get so excited because they'd see Walter Jones and they'd see Austin St. John. They'd be like, oh my God. And a lot of that is very role model-y, the idea that you are, I don't want to say better than like the average person, but that like, you want other people to strive to certainly be better, and to look up to these people, sort of thing. Not to say that like just being relatable to me and you, nobody wants to look up to us if we're like some of these characters. But I do think that there is maybe something to that. But I don't know. Times have definitely changed over the years, so maybe more relatable, being able to see yourself in these people's shoes, is just as important as role models and having people that you want to aspire to kind of be like. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I don't know.
I should add that I'm not saying that that is how it should be. I'm just saying that's how it was.
Oh, how it
Obviously,
was? Yeah, most
I do
definitely.
agree. Yeah, I do agree with you. Like, I do think it is important to add relatability when it comes to writing your characters. That's why I personally loved what the 2017 Power Rangers movie did. But yeah, back in the 90s, that was like not the mindset, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I wanted to be a break dancer so badly. So thank you, Walter Jones. All right, guys, and I think with that, that will wrap up majority of the live viewer questions. But fear not, I will begin with Michael Rhymes, and if anything, we're probably going to be doing a live viewer question video for you guys. I am off work tomorrow, so I'll definitely be recording it tomorrow for you guys, and if anything, posting it on Tuesday. So certainly look forward to that. So whoever we didn't get the chance to answer today, your video and remaining questions will be up on Tuesday. So look forward to that. All right. And I think other than that, Stuart, that will do it for us today. So, guys, first and foremost, let me just apologize for the rocky start to this show. It was super stressful just trying to get the show up and running at 8 o'clock and getting everything together. So if our first segment felt a little bit rushed or kind of disjointed, I do apologize. We certainly will put a better foot forward next week for you guys. But thank you for everybody that certainly came out tonight for our nightly episode of A Plus Hero Report. But Stuart, if people want to be able to find you on social media, sir, where?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 over on Twitter and on Instagram. Also, tomorrow I will be going live with my series review for Stargirl, but it will not just be me. I also got Geek Drummer Lance from the After Party joining me for this review, and it should
Yes.
be it'll be around this time. I want to say tomorrow because he has his own show that he's going to be doing first. But then once he's done with that, he'll join me for a review of Stargirl season 3.
So yeah, it looks like you guys might be getting some late night content there for wherever you guys certainly are at. So definitely stay tuned for that. I've got a couple movie reviews I'm trying to get to. There are like 3 or 4 things I need to tackle this week. I plan on doing a review for Smile. I'm gonna do a review for A Christmas Story Christmas because I got to put in a Christmas movie during this time of the I definitely would like to finish. I got to finish off Andor. And Dino Fury is certainly on the list. I have not forgotten about Dino Fury, even though I'm sure a lot of you certainly have. But I have not forgotten about Dino Fury. It definitely will be dropping as soon as I possibly can. So those are some content that I'm certainly working on this week. We got a Stargirl review, as Stuart certainly mentioned, and certainly a lot more. I think we might even have a Wednesday series review from Indy dropping for you guys. I created a thumbnail for him, so he might be doing a review for you guys. So a lot to certainly look forward to this week, guys. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so, and hit that like button. It definitely does go a long way. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so right up here at the top at A Plus Opinions. Very active over on Instagram, Twitter, and our main page, Facebook. So definitely go ahead and check us out over on Facebook as well. And I guess we'll see you guys next week. But until then, do me a big favor as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye. And of course, and we're back because everything is jacked up. So guys, I'm gonna hit. You know what? I'm gonna hit this button one more time. We're gonna do a double outro, Stuart. We're gonna do a double outro. Yeah, because everything's lagging on me. It doesn't let me pull up the buttons I need to push. So we're gonna do a double outro. So guys, we'll see you later. Bye.